But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody's checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but it could be fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening, and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That is KUAP Digital Broadcasting, which you can find, of course, at KUAPDB.com. I'm overhauling the entire radio station, by the way. Everything's going to be custom. I was using somebody else's crappy software, and it's difficult to use. They charge me for it, and it just sucks. I'm doing it all from scratch, and this is the beginning of it. So if you want to check it out, we are live on KUAPDB.com. That's, of course, KUAP Las Vegas Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, we're also on 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we get weird. And this one goes out to my good buddy Algorithm, Mike in Colorado. You guys were hanging out with us on Friday night. I had a nice conversation with Mike and Algorithm, as many of you know him, and we covered a wide range of things and learned some things about each other and talked about wild ideas, of course, which is really what, not just a calling card of Troubled Minds, it's what Mike does over there with Algorithm and the crew there as well. And one of the topics that came up that we were discussing is, of course, near and dear to my heart. One of those things that has really become a backbone of what Troubled Minds is, and it is the control mechanism. Now, in particular, I cited, he was talking about the, we'll get to some of the stuff he said as we go, because I want to make sure we cover this in order. But I mentioned this. I said, okay, you know what, regarding control mechanisms, I saw this was just maybe Thursday afternoon or maybe Friday. I don't know. It was one of those days. This came out on August 15th. What is today? 16th? No, this has got to be from some other thing. Anyway, so here's the headline. I'm going to get my big head out of the way and just read you the headline. And I told him I thought this was BS when I just read the headline. I didn't look into it. I didn't do any kind of research or anything. I just read the headline and kind of rolled my eyes like, oh, here we go. The devil made me do it. Anyway, so this is from Times of India and, not necessarily the best source, but headline is this. Organisms living inside the gut of psychopaths could be the drivers of bad, sinful behavior and conduct, claim scientists. Right? That seems very... convenient. in the age of AI where all the psychopaths are about to be exposed, and you catch my meaning. Hey, we didn't do it. Our microbiome made us psychopaths. That's what made us do it. Okay. I thought it was BS. Okay. Started doing a little digging, and we've talked about toxoplasmosis in the past and how it changes the life cycle of rats and mice and cats, and this whole just really bizarre cycle of things that manipulates behavior of both species. And you got to wonder, like, how much of that is actually really kind of baked into us in the larger context of evolution, of human evolution going back millions of years. And we talked about the proto-virus and, a lot of the stuff that kind of really was part of us as we were evolving from, the single-celled organism and all the way on up and all the rest. We've sort of been invaded, at least conceptually, as the scientific record goes, we've been invaded by numerous entities, countless over the millions of years of evolution that have really become part of who we are. Now, you can measure it, you can kind of do the DNA tests and kind of dig deep and find, a retrovirus. That's actually the one I was looking for, not a protovirus. You could dig deep and find the retrovirus within us that supposedly goes back, 250 million years or something, right? Something like that. But then also in the larger context of this, you don't really know how much of this affects us until you see something at the crazy end of it, like toxoplasmosis or some of these other things that affect the animal kingdom and quite literally cause, animals or, like the rats of the toxoplasmosis, or like insects to just unalive themselves by jumping in water or climbing to the tallest tree at just the right humidity and then exploding their head in spores, and then the spores kind of coming down into the space again to create more of these soldier ants that'll climb up there and explode their heads, because it's just this really parasitic life cycle that is necessary. You have to do this to continue the species of this grotesque, whether it's going to be a virus or whether it's going to be bacteria or some nefarious alchemical combination of all of the above. But it got me thinking about a lot of things. In particular, this idea that people are controlled, okay, very clearly. And look, I want to make clear when I say this stuff, I'm not telling you specifically that you're controlled. I'm not saying I'm controlled. I'm not trying to draw judgment lines on anything. I'm not saying all Democrats are like this or all Republicans are like this. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying this is something we've all dealt with for as long as humans have been humans, and will continue to deal with in ways as yet unquantifiable. Okay? So just a reminder there that I'm not here to lecture you and tell you who you should be. I'm here a little horrified that this stuff does actually affect us somehow. Okay? And good time to drop the disclaimers. There is no truth to be had here. This is just ideas. If you want to read all the scientific papers and stuff that are linked, they're all down below. I encourage you to read further into this if you're interested in the ideas. Okay, so no truth to be found here. Just kind of kicking the cosmic soccer ball around, as I like to call it. Okay, so now back to this. Now, the bizarre part is, okay, so here we go. So in one of the first studies of its kind, scientists claimed that the organisms living inside the gut of psychopaths may be the drivers of their peculiar behavior. The research team has claimed that they have discovered a link between the specific balance of microflora in the gut and psychopathic behavior. And like I said, my intuition was like, no, this is BS, bro. This is nonsense. Come on, stop it. Like I said, it's a nice way out for the predator class who's been manipulating and doing terrible things to the modern human space anyway. But I digress on that. So this is yet to be peer-reviewed, okay, just so you guys know. Everybody relax. So as detailed in the yet-to-be peer-reviewed study published in the Transnational Psychiatry, a team of researchers led by the University of Porto biomedical scientist Carolina Costa said they found the first ever evidence of how microbiota could influence traits linked to psychopathy. Psychopathy is considered a controversial personality construct characterized by lack of empathy, poor behavior control, as well as antisocial and, in extreme cases, criminal behavior. Unless, of course, you're part of the political class, and then it means not really extreme cases, it means Tuesday. Anyway, as Science Alert points out, previous research has found that psychopaths can share similar brain structures, including pathways in the prefrontal cortex. The latest paper, however, suggests those links could even extend into the microbiome. Now, if you're talking about control mechanisms and the things that we do and the behavior that we try and not shake, the behavior that we try and conquer on a daily basis as humans, the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other, like this type of thing. these ideas, suddenly you start to wonder what the hell's really going on, because it's complicated. And not to excuse any bad behavior. That's not what I'm here to do. Not what I'm here to do. Okay. Bad behavior is still bad behavior, and psychopaths are still psychopaths. Okay. Tread carefully. I don't know any, thankfully. Hopefully none of you guys are psychos, but you get the idea, right? Like, tread carefully, because you really don't know what you're going to get when it comes to those type of people, because they have a very low level of empathy. Okay. So anyway, that puts us where we start. Now, the question I have for you guys tonight is, how weird and how deep do you think this gets? And there's actually something called, we'll talk about it when we get back. This is now becoming part of the law. Yeah. Can you believe this? Can you believe that maybe one of your like a psycho out there, one of his best defenses might be, well, my micro biotic gut stuff made me do it, you know? And then maybe, just maybe, there's enough flimsy science to kind of convince a jury to like let the person off. You see what I'm saying? Anyway, okay. So hang tight. We're going to be right back. Get a quick word from our sponsor. In this case, that will be with the Stoic Mindset, because we need this deeply tonight. Not just tonight, but on an ongoing basis. But yeah, be right back. More Troubled Minds in just one moment. Do not go anywhere. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, now, so we start there. We start with this idea, and I'm calling this tonight, the devil was a passenger. Possession was the head count, okay? And, you know, it's provocative language. I'm not actually trying to say there's a religious aspect to this or not, or that the devil doesn't exist. Like I said, that's the whole no truth here to be found. It's just sort of provocative ideas that kind of go deeply into that retrovirus that was the beginning of us and what's been baked in for all these millions of years of evolution. Now, back to this, the bizarre part. I'm going to read straight from the write-up here because it is very good. If you're interested in the larger narrative here, I encourage you to read this stuff. It's pretty good. Join the Troubled Minds newsletter. It's free to join that. If you want to contribute there, you can do that as well. Go to troubledminds.org, click on the Substack on the top. It'll take you straight there. You get all kinds of write-ups, all kinds of cool stuff that say things like this. In a village 400 years ago, when a man's hands moved without his willing them, and a voice that was not his came out of his mouth, the whole community knew what they were looking at. Something had gotten in. They sent for a priest. The rite that followed assumed a clean line, a soul that belonged to the man and an intruder that did not. And the work was to name the intruder and force it back across the border. Everything depended on that border being real. The self was a sealed room, and possession was a break-in. We have spent centuries since congratulating ourselves for outgrowing that picture. And this summer, a paper came out of Porto and Oxford that should make us wonder whether we outgrew it or simply stopped being able to see it. The study, of course, as we said, led by Carolina Costa and published in Translational Psychiatry, did something almost comically direct. It took 200 adults, measured their psychopathic traits with a standard questionnaire, and then read their blood, saliva, and stool for the bacteria living in them. The result, stripped of the tabloid framing that later called it a hunt for the germs of sin, was modest and strange. Certain gut organisms showed up more often in people who scored higher for psychopathy. Yeah, psychos. A couple of specific metabolites tracked the same way. The authors were careful, almost anxious, to say what they had not found. No microbe causes cruelty. There is no swab that will tell you who to fear. They had found an association, a shadow, a correlation between the ecosystem and a person and the shape of that person's conduct. Now, as you can see, this is complicated. It is deep. It goes back many, many millions of years into our evolutionary space, and of course into our psychological space as well, with psychiatry looking into this deeply now. But what do you know about this? And do you think that it is, something we should really delve more into? And I want to point this out as part of it. So that's the question. How weird does this get? Does it surprise you at all that maybe there is a correlation here? And there's another startling correlation as part of this that I'll put in my back pocket for the time being, because I don't want to blow all the good stuff right up front. But there's actually check this out. Where is it? Where can I find this? No, not the good. Yeah, there's actually a legalome information initiative, which is the legalome is the biological ecology of justice. And so they're looking at this in terms of the, justice itself and the justice system and criminal justice and all the rest of it. And it is, so the formal one-line definition is the legalome is the application of microbiome sciences and objective omics-derived markers in forensic and legal psychology. Hey, man. If you've read anything about the law, any of this stuff in those terms, you would recognize fully that there's something weird going on in the legalese. Okay, it's intentionally written that way. It's sort of they don't want the normal knucklehead just reading it and knowing all the secrets, right? You got to go to school for 3 years, do the initiation, get your whatever it's called, the what do they call them? I don't know, doctor of whatever. Anyway, you got to get a law degree. You got to become an attorney, a lawyer. This is weird, right? Like suddenly the future doesn't look so as concrete as it might in terms of justice. And justice itself is always slippery anyway. It's one of those things that, like I said, justice will be had, right? Will it? Has it ever been? I don't know. I mean, maybe a time or two here or there. But I think in the large context of things, there's maybe relative justice where today you might say there's more justice than there might have been 1,000 years ago. But you get my meaning. Does that mean it's justice? I'll leave that to you. Anyway, how weird is this? Does it surprise you? And invoking the name the devil was a passenger and possession was just a head count. Do you think this makes sense? That maybe, just maybe, some of the worst behavior of humans across the entire society going back thousands of years could be boiled down to something as simple as this. Because this, we're talking about, can affect a person, a single person. But what happens if it can spread? What happens if these ideas, these people that are like this actually, become, well, we'll get into that a little later because I think I'm talking too much, but you get the idea. How weird does it get? That's where I want to start. And does it surprise you? 702-857-6939. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It is simple as that. Thank you for being patient, friends. And let's go to James. James Salcido. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds, the paranormal expert at Troubled Minds. Good stuff with Ricky over there. I was listening in, and you guys are fire as always. Welcome. How you feeling? Go right ahead.
Oh, I'm okay. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir. You sound fantastic.
Good, as I stumble over my own words. But other than that, glad to be here. And I don't know that I'll have a ton on this tonight. Haven't really looked into this topic, but fascinated to see what comes up. I do think, to me, it makes sense that whatever is in a biological being, especially if it could be, one could say, other biological beings, at different sizes or different scales, could have effects on someone. What those effects would be, I don't know. Could it be big enough to affect their behavior? As you were talking about there, it seems like in some cases maybe. But yeah, this whole idea of it being enough to make people act a certain way, like a complex sort of way, is fascinating, and I have no idea, what I think about all that.
Yeah, and so not just behaviorally, I mean, because you can think about this in the larger context of maybe belief. Maybe, we think that maybe we're predisposed to be religious or not, or things like this. Like suddenly these ideas kind of come to mind. And look, they've done science on, we'll know if you're going to be a Republican or a Democrat by the size of your nose and the shape of your nose, or things like this, right? Like, and I'm not saying there's anything to it. I'm saying that's kind of ridiculous. Though, given enough data and information and books to cook, they can cook any book they want. But in this particular case, I wonder exactly how much of that it goes and how far it spreads. For instance, to take it to the paranormal world for a second, do you think it's possible that we have a gut microbiome that predisposes us to maybe seeing these things, to maybe being receptive to them enough where they actually manifest to us? You see what I'm saying? So suddenly it doesn't have to necessarily be bad behavior, psychopaths, and the rest. I think there might be other areas where we are predisposed to belief based on some of these, not just, I keep saying proto, it is, what's the bacteria? It'll come to me in a second, the retrovirus. But beyond that, there's actually something conceptually that it brings us to the paranormal space, at least a space to believe, a space to have an open mind for it. And maybe, just maybe, I don't know. What do you think? Have you heard anything about that in any of your paranormal research or thought about it in that particular capacity?
Oh, now we're both stumbling over words. That's always fun.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I see. This is something I haven't looked into much, so I don't know. I mean, I do think if you think of just in terms of what a consciousness is made of. I mean, I'm just even imagining orbs, people seeing orbs, go into and out of people, and sometimes they're just tiny, and people having different reactions to them. Again, it's different, but also if it's all energy and different states of energy that can become matter in different ways, then I could see there being effects on people. Not even necessarily, going a full-blown, like a Hollywood possession kind of thing, but just changing people in subtle ways. I could see that different things happening to or even people just thinking that something has happened, maybe it changing their way of thinking of what they will or won't do. I guess I'm all over the place with this tonight. So, but yeah, happy to hear what everyone has to say about it as well.
Yeah,
and to sit in as well.
Yeah, no problem. It's tough because again, this is sort of a budding science in the sense that we don't really know yet. And, it's not peer reviewed and, clearly you're going to need a ton more data. There's a small sample size to kind of start. Yeah, it's how science begins, right? And then suddenly you see something that kind of catches your attention and you're like, wait a minute now, maybe there is something to this. And there may not be. And don't forget that, for every wild idea I bring up, it doesn't mean I believe it. It doesn't mean I'm a hook, line, and sinker fool for believing everything I read on the internet. Clearly that's not the case. But suddenly when you see something like this and take it to the scale of what it could be, you start to wonder what it really means. And that's where I'm at right now. Of course, I don't believe it. I don't disbelieve it. But I'm, kind of agnostic in all ways as much as possible anyway, because belief gets you into trouble sometimes. It makes you see things differently and maybe not in the best of ways. So anyway, I digress on that, but you get the idea. So I don't know what to believe here other than this seems compelling enough to be a very troubled minds level idea. And we've talked about this type of thing before. We'll get to toxoplasmosis and some of that and make some actual connections here that make a little more sense than just kind of throwing out a non-peer reviewed paper at this point. But you get what's going on in my mind. I wonder what the hell's actually going on here and how deep and how weird does it get? That becomes the problem. And that's one of my favorite questions because like I said, when you take an idea and then scale it, suddenly at the edge, the fringe of these scaled ideas, this is where the future belongs. It's where we'll find the future. So what do we know about it? I don't know. Like I said, I'm not trying to excuse any psychopaths and I'm not trying to excuse the devil. Okay. Don't get me wrong here. It's just provocative language to make people click. You got to do it or you don't get any clicks at all. Okay. That's it. That's where my mind is at. I hope you guys are doing great tonight. Thanks for being patient with me and all the rest of it. And I don't know where else to take it other than I'd love to hear your thoughts. Nobody on the phone line if you guys want to jump in here. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Do check out the new radio station, by the way. It is KUAPDB.com. Click play up there and see if it's working. See if you can actually hear me live or with a 5 or 6 second delay as is about standard. I'd love some feedback on that. How's the audio? Is it coming through loud and clear? Is it wobbly or whatever, But that's where we're at. I hope you guys are doing great, like I said. And what do you think? Weird, right? Yeah, I think so. I think it's very weird. And how weird does it get? Organisms living inside the gut of psychopaths could be the drivers of bad, sinful behavior and conduct, claim scientists. Real? Nah? We're somewhere in between. 702-857-6939. click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. I'm Michael Strange. This is Troubled Minds. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. We got Joe in Florida coming up. More from James if he's got it in your calls as well. Be right back.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
They sent for the priest. They always send for the priest. Something walks the ant up to the high and holy air. Something took the fear out of the rat and left it bare. Every quiet passenger that ever learned to steer learned it in the body of a thing that felt them near. No knock, no name, no border to defend. The room was always open, love, it opens at both ends. The devil was a passenger, he never had to knock. The door was never bolted, and the door was never locked. Count the hands that move you, count the voices in the blood. Possession was a head count, and you were never one. The engine in your marrow was a stranger long ago. You keep your every memory in a virus you don't know. It builds a little reliquary, fires it cell to cell. The saint you call yourself is a committee none can spell. No knock, no name, no border to defend. The saints were always many, and the many never end. The devil was a passenger, he never had to knock. The door was never bolted, and the door was never...
By the way, so if you don't like the AI music on the podcast feed, it's an IQ test. You can press the skip button. Same thing with a long intro. I get so much hate for the AI music. What's up, Eric? Matsowl, what's up, Joe in Florida? So we got Joe in Florida and Matsowl coming up. What's up, Daryl, Nostra? I see that, Joey and Sacha. Over to YouTube. What's up, Fred and Ioxy got first. How you guys doing? Good evening. Hello. Hope everybody's well. Sipping some maybe juice. Indeed. What's up, Jen? I see you there. Richard in Texas. Good evening. What's happening, folks? We got Joey. Logan is here. How you doing? Here we go. Indeed. Ricky, thank you for the raid over there on Rumble and fantastic work with James. What's up, Surreal Surroundings? That's Karen. Good evening. Hello. Sacha's here. What's up? I'll come say hi to Rumble momentarily. Thanks again for the raid. You guys are the best. Appreciate it very much. Joe in Florida, Dagger Spells, Jen, who's that? Solidago. You guys are the best. Here we go. Trouble Minds happening right about now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we get weird. Scientists just linked gut bacteria to psychopathic traits. The headlines called it the germs of sinful behavior. The truth underneath is stranger and older. From a fungus that walks an ant to its death, to a parasite that deletes a rat's fear, to trace metals that may tune the mood of whole cities, to the domesticated virus your memory runs on. We follow one law all the way down. That's what's on my mind tonight. It's a lot. It's complicated. And we'll get to lithium and some of these other things, toxoplasmosis, and again, the devil. I think the devil plays here very well because, like I said, if you believe in the devil, that's cool. I'm in. Let's talk about it. If you don't, and you think that there's an influence that's devil-like, look, it's the same conversation. And it like I said, when you peel the belief out, you recognize how much more we have in common with each other with these types of ideas. We don't necessarily have to believe the exact same thing to have a very similar and fulfilling conversation. So you tell me, and where we started, organisms living inside the gut of psychopaths could be the drivers of bad, sinful behavior and conduct, claim scientists. If I had a nickel for every time I read claim scientists, I'm just saying. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Anything to add, James? And if not, we'll go to Joe in Florida.
Well, just real quick, this is reminding me in a way of, again, comic books in a way. It's making me think of the whole Spider-Man and Venom thing. Because Venom, for anyone that's familiar or even not familiar, is this alien being, a symbiote, basically, that can combine with other beings. And they can basically take on whatever appearance they want once they have this symbiote attached to them. But the other thing that happens is, in the comics especially, is Spider-Man, Peter Parker's behavior, once this thing combined with him, he started to change, but it was subtle. His personality started to change. He started doing things he wouldn't have normally done before. He started maybe acting in a less maybe moral way, or less basically making decisions that seemed a little bit more sketchy, you'd say, than he made before. So this is kind of making me think of that, and that is something that could be as small as one of these, beings, but it's just taken to a huge, larger scale in the comics there. But anyway, just where my mind goes to with all that as well.
Yeah, it's actually a good thing to point out, and it brings to mind Tobey Maguire and was it Andrew Garfield? It was Venom, and that first Venom movie they had, and Tobey Maguire got all bravado and stuff, and with the dancing and wearing the dark clothes. It was a little much for me, and I'm a really big Spider-Man fan, but it's a great way to point it out that it started to affect him in small ways, and suddenly. This seems very much what we're talking about. So I think you're spot on with that. Now, I appreciate you bringing it up. As always, James on the game. He's like, I don't think I'll have much. And then he just blows up your brain with some lore. There it is. You're the best, brother. Hey, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and it just, the movie obviously has to happen really quick. But in the comics, these changes were just very gradual over several issues in the comics. So it wasn't all at once he was evil, in any way, shape, or form. It was very, just like I said, took time for things to change.
Exactly right. And fantastic parallel here. I think it certainly fits. Love to hear you guys' thoughts. We're taking your calls. I'm calling this the devil was a passenger. Possession was the head count. What does that mean? And how weird does this get? 702-857-6939. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Like this, let's go to Joe in Florida. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Go right ahead.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Yeah, I read the article like a couple of days ago, and it reminded me immediately of the cat parasite. I forget what the parasite of the cat parasite was called, that you can get from a cat litter.
Toxoplasma gondii is the name of it.
Yeah, plasma gondii, toxoplasma, yeah. But heck, if I'm hungry, I could be violent, or at least nasty. Not violent, but I could be a little bit nasty. I do think that there's definite truth to the gut biome and things, but maybe it would be dangerous. Like, most of us would know better. I guess if there was something manipulating us and we didn't know, that's the thing, is you would never know. But if you were always prone to acting out and things, maybe some of us with a higher, conscience, I would say, would know, hey, that's wrong. I got to repress these feelings or these voices or however they manifest. I know you said, in the beginning, you were poking a little bit of sarcasm about how this would be a defense, in court, but the defense would just be insanity or temporary insanity, but it's interesting. And I think we've known this because we've seen articles about the gut biome and good bacteria and bad bacteria and antibiotics and what they do and everything. So I believe it. And I think it's kind of scary if it could quietly be weaponized in a population, to manipulate people. Let's say everybody goes to church and, has the Cheez-It, the holy wafer, not the Cheez-It, but the Cheez-It cracker. And, let's say that they become more susceptible to something else on the outside, something that's on TV. So you can never put your finger on it. So that this portion of the population is susceptible. But how do you turn that trigger on? Right? Maybe these things were used in MK Ultra when these people get turned on, when these sleeper agents get turned on. Maybe they're already loaded in their gut, and that's just part of it. It's no different than people saying 5G and things that we put in our body and all of that. It's not that much different. If anything, I would believe this one, though, more than a lot of them, just because we know that there's parasites. And they do different things from Crutchfield-Jacob disease, which is scary among funeral directors for a prion disorder. We've talked about that before, which makes you like a zombie, basically. That would be a modern-day zombie. To leprosy or other things rabies, those are outwardly. But something subtle, more than anything, when I looked at that article again, going back to the Taxu Gandhi, people take riskier behaviors. They behave in a risky fashion. How do they measure that? I guess you have to take blood work and things over years. But it's scary. And it goes back to whatever statistic it was or something, but we all know that there's a psychopath in our neighborhood. In every one of our neighborhoods, there's a psychopath or somebody that potentially could be a psychopath out there. And they could be normal and just snap, I've seen it with hockey players. When I've had guys come in and they're fine and normal and joking and everything, and then they're out on the ice and they totally snap. And they're just Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But, who knows if it's something they ate or something in their gut biome.
Something that's been there forever that they've recognized and suppressed somehow. And then, something makes them snap. I can tell you there's a scale and a range too, not just psychopaths. There's the sociopath and, kind of the jerks that are always fit in the jerk mold. And mine, in my neighborhood, at least I know, is the guy that lives across the street because he sends his dog over to my yard to poo in it. I'm like, bro, like you're lucky I'm a stoic because I would. Never mind. I'm not even going to say the words. I'm not even going to say the words. But literally, I watched him do it. The dude sends his dog over, goes, lets him off the leash, and then sends him over. So this dog comes over and craps in my yard. I'm like,
You should mail him.
Oh, let's leave him out of it.
You should mail him a glitter bomb or like a dick in a box. Like they have those gag gifts. That's what you should mail him. So, or pick up the dog's poop.
Just put it right back on the yard. Yeah, exactly.
I just have good neighbors, but I think my neighbors wouldn't mess with me because I am a little touched, and I have some pretty bad ideas. In fact, as I'm speaking to you, I'm looking to order a very high-powered blowgun, CO2 powered, so totally legal. But the darts it shoots will penetrate Kevlar armor, which is like Kevlar armor. Just in case somebody knocks at my door. So maybe I do have that in my gut biome, but I know enough to kind of just keep it very reserved because I do know that I snap. I have snapped, and it's a very scary thing. So I really just live and let live, man, and get up and lie to myself and say that the world is a great place.
Well, we don't have to do that. I mean, look, we're here, yucking it up by dark of night with the, modern technology and all the rest. So, like we would have never met without all the great place the world brought us to. So, I get you. You're making a little joke there, but also it's not as bad as you think sometimes. What else you got? Fire stuff.
Nothing, man. I know there's somebody else behind me. I was looking at stuff, and like I said, I read the article, but when you mentioned there were no callers, I'm like, yeah, I'll call in. I got to get up early. I got to get to the dentist at like 8. I really don't want to go to the dentist. And then work has been kind of slow. But I do have some things on the horizon. Maybe I'll email you if they become anything. I don't know if I mentioned it. I did mention it, but July 1st, the state law changed on something that I complained about in the funeral industry. So we're totally off topic. But the law changed, and then the state was going to come after my license. And then they didn't because the whole thing. And now I'm looking for a private lawyer, and I have a customer that got screwed after the law changed. And the customer came to me, and now he's got a complaint with the state, and him and I are willing to go talk to a lawyer. So that might be some good things on the horizon, and that's what I keep telling myself every morning. Anyway,
amen.
That's a sidetrack. I'll email you something when I get some results.
Appreciate it. Best of luck with that. Go get him, Tiger. You're the best. Appreciate the call. Have a fantastic night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Good night.
We love him. Joe in Florida, good friend for a long time. We've been talking to many of these people for literally years and years and years and years. Shout out Kelly was the first one to call and then call back. Joe was the second. And many of you have been calling for years and years and years to be part of these conversations, and I appreciate it very much. Look, it's not easy to attract so many smart folks in one space. We're blessed. So thank you for the call. Fire stuff. James, anything to add there? And we'll go to Matsowl on the line. Speaking of other smart people, James and Matsowl.
Yeah, great call from Joe. I do think, there's something, we all have different things going on, like inside us and our bodies and inside our minds. I think all the things that are, just the idea to me of tiny things in the body having larger consequences, that doesn't surprise me too much. If it's all connected, to your energy or who knows what else, then yeah, that makes sense. It could happen. And I don't think it has, like Joe was saying, I don't think it has to be, and you mentioned too, I don't think it has to be these, as extreme as what these articles are talking about. It can be, on a smaller scale. I just, I know when I have any kind of upset stomach, I'm not in a good mood.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And sometimes you don't even know why. Like you didn't eat anything weird or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of gets cranky. And I had that happen to me like that a couple of weeks back, 2.5 weeks or whatever. I had like, I felt like a really emotional state. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm never coming back to Troubled Minds. Like it was one of those thoughts, right? I'm never coming back. I'm done with this. I'm finished. I'm never doing it again. Turns out I had food poisoning. And so it was like, right? Like it's one thing that you think is another thing, but it's not at all. And then, right. I even said on the Discord, I'm like, I think I'm hitting a dark night of the soul, guys. And then that night I had food poisoning. I mean, your gut has a massive influence on your mood. That's for sure. And sometimes it's as mysterious as you might expect. Joe says the fecal lettuce got you. I don't think so. I've been avoiding lettuce pretty hard. Anyway, go ahead, James.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I've had times, even like times where I don't eat as much as I should because I get distracted or get busy and then I'm sure almost everyone has had this once in a while. Like, wow, I'm just not in a good mood and wow, I'm hungry. Why am I so hungry? Oh, I haven't eaten in like 12 hours. Might be a good idea to have something, so yeah, that the body and the mind are not so disconnected.
No, absolutely
anyway, that's
not.
all I have for now.
Yeah, and the gut too. The gut plays the instigator of that entire role there. Don't forget there are neurons in the gut. Yeah. Anyway, fire stuff, James. You are the best. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We're talking this gut biome stuff, and the headline is organisms living inside the gut whose psychopaths could be the drivers of bad, sinful behavior and conduct. Like I said on Friday night with Algorithm, shout out Mike, sounded like BS. I dug a little deeper, and there's some interesting angles and threads here. Let's talk about it. Matthew in California. What's up, brother? Matsowl. Welcome to the joint. How are you? Go right ahead, sir.
Hey, Mike. How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Good show.
Thank you.
Yeah, I called to really talk about a movie, but I did want to talk about how I think it's important that we talk about both things at the same time. We talk about science and religion at the same time. I don't think we should be separating them. And so I like these conversations talking about the science, but also bringing in the religion, and we should be talking about them both. And the reason what I want to talk about this movie. It's a really good movie. It's called The Exorcism of Emily Rose. It's an early 2000s film, and it's one of my favorite of all times exorcism movies. And I talk about it because it fits here. And so, spoiler alert on the older movie. But in this movie, and it's supposedly based on a true story. I use my bunny ears, however you want to use that. Based on a true story about this girl. And the exorcism part of the movie is one of the scariest out of all the modern exorcism movies that I watch. It's one of the scariest, to me, one of the scariest movies. But the funny thing is that it's not a horror movie per se. There's the exorcism part. It's not a scary movie. It's not a horror movie. It's a court case movie. And it's about the court case after the exorcism, and everything is a flashback. And so it's talking about this girl that gets possessed by these demons and how the court takes it. There's, of course, there's the people of faith, the people of science. How do you bring this stuff up in court? How do you talk about this kind of stuff in court? And so they're saying things like, oh, she was epileptic. And so, of course, epilepsy, people contort and twist when they're having epileptic seizures, kind of like a demon possession. So they put it off as she was epileptic. But then she was also seeing the demons and having visions. So they said that she was psychosis. So she was psychosis, epileptic. They just kept throwing medical terms and medicine at her. And the priest comes along, and the priest wants to try to perform an exorcism and think about it in a religious aspect, and tells her that the exorcism will not work if the medicine is in her body. And so that's what the court case is about how it is. And the movie really makes you think. It really makes you dive into studying science versus religion, or medicine versus religion. And so it's a really good movie. I recommend everybody to watch it in this specific, what we're talking about tonight. But I feel, and the end of the movie kind of makes you think. It makes you really take religion, like take it in and say, what is it? What's going on? And so, at the end of the movie, I won't spoil the end, but it makes you kind of choose, like, which side do you think it was? Do you think it was a phenomenon, like a devil possession, or do you think it was just an accident? And so it's a really good movie. If you haven't watched it, I do recommend it. And it has to talk about these kind of things that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Using this stuff in court case. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. This is one I've actually seen. Like every time you guys bring up a movie, I'm like, sorry, I haven't seen it. This one I've actually seen it a couple, 3 times. And shout out over there. Hello is not available on the chat on Rumble. Said I don't like that movie, and I agree. Like when I finish watching that movie, I have a bad feeling. Like I have a bad feeling. It feels like that poor girl had no out. Like she was over medicated. She was maybe under medicated when necessary. I mean, like the priest may have been wrong, the doctors may have been wrong, everybody seemed to have been wrong, and she didn't have a chance. And when it ends, it's not a good ending. It definitely put the feeling of the pit in my stomach every time I see that movie. And I'm glad you brought it up because it certainly fits with this conversation tonight. What else you got?
That's mainly what I called to talk about. But I like that movie because it makes me at the end kind of question everything, what it was. So I feel it fits here. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about this the gut microbiota and the idea of psychopaths? Do you think there is something to this where maybe let's do it to the exorcism of Emily Rose, and that maybe something like this was happening, like a massive imbalance of, I want to say chemical imbalance, because that's like the trope and the term everybody uses in the modern psychology space of why people are sick. But do you think maybe it was something to a heavier level of something like this, to where something was so out of whack within her gut biome that she was lashing out and then she was fine, and then she was lashing out and then she was fine, and not necessarily a psychopath, but subclinical and even sporadic, where they couldn't pinpoint it at all. And so maybe she was a victim of things that we hadn't even discovered yet, or at least discovered medically. You think something like that makes sense here?
Yeah, and like I said, it was based on a true story. Could that work? I feel we're finding out new stuff about science all the time. So yeah, I could say that with the toxoplasmosis and the thing you're talking about, the fungus with the ants. What's going on there, and just viruses in general. Maybe things we don't understand yet. And you're right. There's nerves in your your microbiome in your gut. Maybe there's something there. But I saw one thing too that is interesting to me, is that talking about if there's a list of like serial killers, and most of the serial killers are water signs, like Pisces, Aquarius, and I think it's Scorpio. But it's funny to see when you look at all the different serial killers and what their zodiac signs are. And I wonder if that has anything to do with it too.
Don't tell me it's Pisces, 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 Pisces. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
But yeah, I do think there's something there. I think what I wanted to get my point across tonight was just instead of separating religion and science, I think we should look at them together and start blending them together more, instead of trying to draw that line, science versus religion.
Yeah, agreed. And so before you go, then let me ask you: do you think that there is a demonic influence in the world that could do something like this in the other space? So we talk science, we talk the gut microbiota, and this psychopath, and this scientific finding. Do you think there is a demonic influence in the same case of Emily Rose, or even in the larger society? Do you think there are forces out there, as yet unmeasurable, that are causing havoc amongst individuals and, of course, the larger society? Do you think that's real, or do you think that's something that's kind of stuck on our head from a trope of the old days?
I do believe in different kinds of levels of energy, like positive and negative. I can't remember. I think it was earlier in Ricky's show. They're talking about a person in life, if they're good, then their ghosts could be good. But if a person in just like people in real life, some people are jerks. So could they be mean like that in the afterlife? And what if it's just a mean ghost that everybody picks up as a demon or a negative phenomenon, but it's just a bad person as a ghost? And I think for me, I don't believe in the Christian devil. I think a lot of this stuff comes from the old gods, the old horn gods, like Pan, Cernunnos, of the old pagan religions that were demonized and misunderstood and heavily, people don't understand it, so they put it out as negative. They put it out as they're bad. But if you look in these gods like Pan, they weren't necessarily evil or bad. They were just they were gods of the earth and gods of the nature, and we've kind of demonized them. They have horns, so they're evil, and so we kind of demonize them that way. And since people don't understand, it's easy for them to take it as a negative aspect.
Yeah, well said. And they were sort of the primordial trickster spirit, that nature spirit of old that I like to talk about, sort of the king or queen of the fae folk realm, where they were heavily misunderstood, and the trickster element comes in heavily there. And that's really the point. Just about out of time. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for jumping in here and saving the day, and always bringing a Slayer point, because the exorcism of Emily Rose sits heavily in this conversation 100%.
All right, thank you guys. Good night.
You're the best. You know me, love him. Matthew in California. Matsowl is affectionately what we call him. His podcast is, of course, templeoftheowl.com here on the station with us, which go check out the new station digs. You guys are going to like it. We got some cool stuff coming. In any case, that's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. Templeoftheowl.com is where you can find Matsowl. Please go follow him in all the places. Go support the man. He's a very smart guy and very much into this stuff, as you can tell. Love to hear your thoughts. We're talking about this bizarre idea that organisms living inside the gut of psychopaths could be the drivers of these bad behaviors. Sound like BS to you? Not? Somewhere in between? 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Be right back. More on the way. We got more from James coming up. We got Jen in Missouri and your calls as well. Do not go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Call the priest, call the priest. There's a stranger in the room. He will name it, he will cast it back across the border soon. But nobody tell the father, and nobody tell the choir. There was never any border, and the room was always full. The chair is empty now. The light is still on.
Let's check the news. A new study out of the University of Southern California is shedding light on what biological age clocks are actually measuring, and the answer turns out to be more complicated than researchers expected. Analyzing blood samples from over 3,000 participants in the U.S. Health and Retirement Study, scientists found that 5 widely used epigenetic clocks each track a different dimension of cellular aging, with no single gene appearing across all 5. The team also developed new gene scoring methods based on cell activity, which in some cases showed stronger links to disease, physical decline, and mortality than the clocks currently in clinical use. The takeaway, as lead researcher Dr. Arpawong put it, is that aging isn't just about the candles on your birthday cake, it's about what's happening deep inside your cells. Turning now to the night sky, or what may be left of it. A paper just accepted by Astrophysical Journal Letters puts hard numbers on a plan from a California company called Reflect Orbital, which wants to place thousands of giant mirrors in low Earth orbit to redirect sunlight down to the surface after dark. Their pilot satellite carries an 18 by 18 meter reflector and is designed to illuminate a 2.5 kilometer patch of ground on demand. The researchers found that a single full-scale 54-meter mirror would appear roughly 4 magnitudes brighter than a full moon to anyone standing in its beam, and that the scattered atmospheric glow would outshine moonlight from as far as 34 kilometers away. The satellite cleared federal communications approval in July despite more than 1,800 public objections and formal opposition from the American Astronomical Society, raising a question that extends well beyond one test satellite. Who, exactly, gets to decide what the night sky looks like? And finally, a brief but pointed note on chemtrail concerns, where public frustration continues to simmer. Reports indicate ongoing friction between aviation authorities and citizens who believe aerial spraying programs pose direct health risks to communities below. Comments collected from affected communities reflect deep distrust of regulatory bodies and the pilots carrying out routine flights. No federal agency has confirmed the existence of any active aerial dispersal program targeting civilian populations, though critics argue that denial itself has become part of the pattern. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. What's up, Karen? James over there. Nostra. We got hello is not available. What's happening, folks? Thanks for being kind in the chat to each other with all the great ideas. Ricky, I see you. Salty Squiggly. Hello. What's up? What's up? If I missed you, I'll circle back and say hi. Thanks for being patient. And Nostra, who'd I miss? What's up? Merlin Magi. Margie's here. Hello, hello. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening right about now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That is KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're taking your calls as we go deep once again. Now, we've talked about this in the past in different ways. However, there's a new study that says this. Organisms living inside the gut of psychopaths could be the drivers of bad, sinful behavior and conduct. Like I said, if you watched me have a conversation on Friday with Algorithm, please go follow Algorithm, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit, follow Algorithm, go check that out. Exclusively there on his Rumble, go check it out. And that conversation inspired this one tonight because we talked a little bit about this. But in this particular case, like I said, I told him, and I believe it, this seems like BS to me. It seems like a way concocted to squirm out of your bad behavior. The devil made me do it, right? Like that's never really been a good defense because, they burn you at the stake or, dunk you in the water and see if you floated. And then if you did or didn't, they execute you anyway. I mean, that's never been a really good actual defense. Okay. But in this particular case, it seems as if in the coming singularity of AI, when all sins will be revealed, it almost seems as if this might be the criminal defense of all these psychopaths that run the world. I don't know. What do you think? And what do you think about the study? What do you think about the devil? And of course, we're merging these ideas because, look, science is one thing. Religion is another. And very, very smartly, as Matsowl said, thank you, Matsowl, fantastic call. He said that it's important that we talk about both. You cannot completely separate the entirety of these things from each other because they exist in the same ecosystem, our mind's eye. They exist out there in the field we live in every single day, and it's important to consider both and all of the things and everything. Fantastic calls so far. What do you know about this? And I'm calling it the devil was a passenger and possession was the head count. Does it make sense? Sure as hell makes sense to me. James, anything to add? And then we'll go to Jen on the line.
Great calls so far from Joe and from Matsowl. Also, anyone that listens to my live recordings of my show, I will be having Matsowl on tomorrow night as we're recording this here tonight. So Monday night, basically, to talk about experiences. So I will put that notification in all the servers once it gets closer. But I do think it's also makes me think of how there are reports about energies and entities that can manipulate things through energy, manipulate solid objects. And if there's anything to that, I mean, there's reports of objects in homes being moved around or whatever. And the idea is that somehow energy is doing that. Well, people always say, well, that seems like it would be really hard to make a book or a chair move a little bit in a room. Okay, that's fine. But what about tiny little bits of matter within a body? Could that be how some alterations of people's personalities, some possessions, so to speak, in a way, are happening? In other words, it's not necessarily just that it's a person's their own self doing things. It is that they are being somehow manipulated in some cases, again, not all, but in some cases through their gut biome, through something within their body, but just not the part of the body that you might think of when you hear the word, let's say, possession or whatever, like something like that. So to me, that's just a fascinating idea. And I've heard of that movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, if I can see the words, but I hadn't seen it. But thank you both for talking about that because I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah, it's not quite as scary as The Exorcist. It is kind of it puts a damper on the entire situation. You know, like Matsowl said, it's like the court case, kind of relitigating it in the mind's eye from two different worldviews. Very much like we do, you know, and it's not so dire as somebody, you know, kind of losing their life type of thing, but looking at the world different ways is incredibly important, and that's why we do this the way we do. Talk to regular people about extraordinary ideas. Appreciate you very much. Anything else to add? If not, we'll go to Jen.
I feel like I had something, but I lost it, so nothing else for now. Looking forward to talking with Jen.
That's okay. When you get it back, just let us know, and you know you're welcome. Love to take your calls and hear your ideas, ladies and gentlemen. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. What's going on? How are you tonight? What do you got for us? Go right ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, I think that if you look at our justice system and you look at the medical field and you look at the entire environment, the way we set up the order that we have in our world, the response to what I guess you'd call it the true world, how it was impacting the human species and how we were going to manage all of those things. And you would have to be privy to quite a bit. So going through the process of all the initiations of education, getting the papers and going through all of that, it's beyond just that. And along the way, people interact and they enter into pacts with one another so that they can all know that at least they can trust each other to some degree as they're, you know, facing against how they're going to organize safety for civilians and hold control for the order of the world that's been created by people who were selected to create it through the priesthoods back through ancient times, or as a sort of weapon against, that's the sword, it's a weapon against the uncivilized of the universe and the world we live in. And that's been very well, you know, noticed as being demonic. In the past, all of that has been demonized. That would include things like organisms or bacteria or any of the shamanic works that people may work through. We still study it, and we all recognize and we have found a way to sort it into religions and things like that. But if we look at back to what I was trying to start out with, was that in the legal system, individuals who come into it, there's a sort of, almost like a hospital, like they come in, they've done something, and then the doctor, the Juris Doctorate, figures out, you know, how severe was this crime? From there, it can go into, do they even realize they were committing a crime? Joe is right that it wouldn't just immediately be mocked up to sort of incompetent to stand trial, something of the kind. So they'd go through a whole process with psychologists and psychiatrists to see if they could, whatever kind of infestation they have in their gut, stand trial and be competent to understand the workings against them. And so I think that that's significant. And if they are not competent and they have these bacteria, so to speak, but all throughout time, there's been this account that there is a hidden force. The devil would be like in humanity, know the devil because it shows itself through people. That's the medium. You don't ever, I mean, they may look at uncivilized, you know, like creatures, but they understand that's an animal. But with people, when they begin to see animalistic behaviors where they have no control over themselves, they think that they are, you know, being influenced by the devil. Saints. Now, I was raised fairly religious, and saints and many of the different people and all the different, in particular, what I'm getting at is that certain essences of incense or different types of plants were often used. And I always thought it was odd when they were talking about demons specifically and how they can infest things, even pigs, or be sent out of, is the idea with the exorcism. Well, so understanding chemistry, like if, not understanding, but if you were to say that you have the endocrine system of the human body and how it responds to stress, there was an individual that had become infected with this invisible force that is a type of parasite. Now, mind you, that most of the human body, at least an enormous portion of it, is made up of microbes. I think it's something like 90-something%. Only like 47% of the human body is human, as you would think of it. The brain is 100% human. The whole body is made up of bacteria and viruses and things like that. And they respond and communicate with the brain, but none of those bacteria can get into the brain. They can't pass the blood-brain barrier. So there's this whole, although there are many psychoactive medications that do pass the blood-brain, the brain-blood barrier. So I think that that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Say that a person. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I thought you paused for me, but if you got more, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah. What do you think?
Well, that's the whole point of this, is that how much of this is biology, how much of this is sort of metaphysical, and again, this is not something we haven't talked about before, but it's interesting that when you kind of see what science is kind of delving out when it comes to, the last show we did too was talking about a similar thing in the woo space, the paranormal space, right? Like we took this survey of all these people, and many people actually were experiencing things we never expected, and they were more poignant to them in their lives than we ever believed. And then now this is very similar in that we've talked about toxoplasmosis before, you and I, and some of these other ideas of like, we are legion sort of within us with that idea of that. I always want to say protovirus, but it's whatever that term is, like where it was baked into our actual evolutionary space that brought us here, and it's never left, and you can't get rid of it. If you removed it, we stop being human, and suddenly that becomes the cure, right? That transhumanist cure. We're like, okay, check it out, we can remove the human part of you and you will just be an autonomous drone just like all the robots, right? Like that's a whole nother thing for a whole other time, but it is fascinating that all of this seems to be converging in this space, and we're like, hey, whatever ails you, we can cure you. And so the question becomes, do you want to be cured? I mean, from being human? I don't know. I'm not so sure.
Oh, no, that's an incredible point. I mean, I think that if humanity is trying to escape what little bit of them is still human, and whatever that even means, I mean, it could be that what is human inside of us is just a receptor. It may be very menial, highly sophisticated instrument that is absorbing information around them. I mean, I think that the whole entire universe around us is filled with invisible forces. The idea of the Lord of Flies, for example, with Baal, or like with Beelzebub. Let me say Beelzebub. We'll say that. Not necessarily it was perceived to be diabolical, but was actually helpful. People are aware of things like the flies, of how there's a whole worship of that, of degradation of life and preservation of it. There are initiations. Hypothetically conjuring up a real demon, which may look like a fog of a type of parasite, could hypothetically be the case, and that a vector being available through initiations and through different traumatic experiences or experiences that lift people up to such a height, there could be any number of sciences devoted to creating place for those viruses or bacteria. I think I would say primarily just the parasites and bacteria. It makes sense that I heard that viruses only make up like 1 to 3% of an entire human biome. So like the human body has 1 to 3% of that is virus instead of bacteria or whatever other kind of microbe. But possession, I think, could be basically like catching an illness. And in the past, they used religion, and they still use law, and they use all of the same things they do to keep order, to keep the outside from coming in. But as far as psychopaths, I think that it's generational. Not generational to be a psychopath, but the trauma that causes a psychopath, and then some of the genetics that are necessary to put it there. There's a lot of argument about that, but I don't know. I've seen in the system that most of the people who are on the docket were also involved with children's division, and there's a whole history there a great deal of the time. And what's weird is that some of the worst crimes I've seen have been committed by people who have no criminal history. So that's really bizarre too.
Yeah, like the Ted Bundy space or whatever. It's so strange. Like, and those are the true psychopaths, right? And there, there's the trauma psychopath that kind of you were treated very poorly or even abused or worse when you were very young, and kind of drew you into that space. But then, as you're describing, it's so strange. You can't even quantify it because it's so sporadic in terms of how you say, well, bad people do bad things, but how do we make sense of any of this? It's all very complicated, and you made a great point of all of that, because I think that's the point. That's the whole point here, is like, how do we quantify this? The devil made me do it. My gut microbiome made me do it, or am I just a shithead, right?
Right. Well, I think I was going to cover just that. Basically, the saints and everything would wear girdles of wormwood. They'd burn certain types of incense. Years ago, back in like 2017, 18, that's when I began thinking that it was something to do with the worm or like the bacteria or all of this that could explain that lore, which I thought was so fascinating. And everything began to point to that. And everything we know about the dragon or the Leviathan or any of these things, I thought that they were metaphorically talking about demons in the same relation. And then the fact that the communication between other human beings and a virus acting through the person as a puppet, we see that a lot in, all of our lore, all of our stories, that the person is a vector for one effect or the other, and humanity's just trying to manage it. But thanks, and great show.
Appreciate the call. You were the best. And tons of ways to look at this here. And that's the whole point of this. Like, this is why we talk about these ideas like this with amazing folks. Thank you very much, Jen. The Arcane Observer, you know where to find her. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It says follow Jennifer here. Please do that. And she's also part of the Salcedo Paranormal contingent on the weekends too. Follow James, of course. I hadn't mentioned that tonight as well. But scroll down, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. There's going to be James there, and then also Jennifer right there next to each other on top of the thing, right above my head. If you guys are watching on the stream, please help our friends. There's a lot of things going on out there in the world, and many of these things are complicated and beyond complicated, because how do you literally shake out answers from thousands of years of these questions that have still never been resolved? Science says one thing, metaphysics and spirituality and the religious spaces say another thing. And back to what Matsowl said too, that there's a space there where these ideas come together. So let's talk about it. Let's do the thing, and that's what we're doing. Appreciate the call, Jen. Fire stuff as always. Anything to add, James? And we'll go to Cramos on the Discord there.
Yeah, no, just great to hear from Jen as always, and I want to give Cramos all the time. So yeah, thank you, and I'll talk later if there's time and if I have anything else to say. You got it, buddy. Appreciate you very much. Radio pros all around. You guys are all watching the clocks and everything. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for listening. Thanks for caring about the ideas. Cramos, you're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
Hola. Can you hear me good?
Yes, sir. Coming through loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on from the cell phone tonight because I'm a nurse. I have one of our dogs a little bit sick, so I've been taking care of my dog these few days because it's impossible for me to leave her in this underground cage in the hospital. No way.
Amen. Best wishes to your dog. Hope she improves and gets better rapidly.
I appreciate that, Michael. How is your family and how are you?
Good. I have no complaints. I'm lucky and blessed to not have any complaints other than manufactured, normal, stupid human stuff, which I don't need to complain about at all. Thank you for asking. What you got for us tonight? Go ahead.
I understand. I know you have a lot of calls, so I'm going to make it short. I was reading and hearing the calls and the description of the premise is very insane, but at the same time is so close. I have a video in my Rumble channel about panoptic observation. And panoptic observation, I'm connecting the dots with this topic because now they are pushing this smart cities project. The last Congress was here in Chile, like I told you, I think before. And when I was searching, I'm not going to quote, but I found out about the biosecurity, biopolitics, and biopanoptic surveillance. So they, what I am understanding is they are forcing a monopoly of food. I mean seeds with genetic elements that goes inside human organism, and they will surveillance. They will make surveillance, but not with a big brother, a big eye, but with the analysis of your behavior. So they will tell their parents, "We're gonna monitor your child in school in order to learn better and not to be violent with each other, and we're going to surveillance the behavior of the citizens in order to protect them." So they will rise this invisible enemy as this huge, enormous threat. So we need to be under their surveillance in order to be protected. That's what I think, and that is, in my opinion, pure evil.
And you know what's funny? Well said. All that. The flock cameras are going around. That sort of pervasive surveillance. You know, it's always the Orwellian surveillance has always been on my mind as part of this. But we kind of moved out of that phase because we beat a dead horse for so long. But it's back. It's in the mainstream news right now, and everybody's talking about this. And they're like, I'm hearing this, and look, this is unconfirmed rumors suggest that on Halloween night this year, adults are going to go out dressed up, and actually they're not going to go for candy. They're going to take out the flock cameras instead. Like, I'm here. Like this is already going around social media. I'm not kidding you. I mean, you know, we're kind of in that space. It's like, now imagine what is it? The Guy Fawkes night and all the rest of this. I mean, dude, if we can organize like this, and I'm not suggesting you should damage property, you should not hurt anybody. I'm not saying this is even real. I'm saying I'm starting to see this coming through social media now, and I'm like, dude, I wonder, right? Like, I wonder. Hey, nobody likes to be watched when you don't want to be watched. It's one thing. Look, I'm here I'm on the camera. Watch me. But otherwise, hey, like, mind your business, right? Like, there's a problem here, and if it continues to encroach on our mind space and our soul and our hearts, hey, man, there's going to be a backlash. And I hope it's peaceful. I hope it's peaceful.
Well, I agree because I'm not trying to fight this. I assume they watch and hear everything I say, and like I told you before, they are using AI to transform and make the conversion of your digital behavior and activity into neuronal data. So it's we're stepping into this next step, and I think it's a joke because evil is desperate, and they are using this attempts to spread darkness with this false, fake narrative of protection. So they will never intervene my spiritual faith exercise, and they will never touch the human being who are doing well and not doing evil. So I'm okay with it, but it's funny. I'm gonna send you some links because to finish my idea, I found about this Japanese tomato with genetic neural blockers to elder people, blood pressure, and all that stuff. And now, after 2011, now that tomato, I think it has legs, and I think can give you advice and something. I'm just joking.
Okay, so send that to me. I'm looking forward to reading that. I have not yet met a tomato that will have legs and give me advice, but I'd love to meet one. I'd love to meet one. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for jumping in.
I'm going to send the link.
Okay, thank you for that. Have a great night. Appreciate the call, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Cramos in Chile. Notables Radio, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit when you go to the friends link and it says follow Cramos. It's Cramos. Right there, right above my head if you're watching on the stream. Please go give him a follow. And look, I always say this, it's funny. As kind and generous as this man is in sound, his manners are on point. He's been banned from YouTube once. What? Like, why? Go follow Cramos and find out why. 702-857-6939. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. More on the way. We got more from James. Looks like we got Derek the Nightstocker coming up and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Oh, crap. I forgot which news I pressed. Forgive me if this is a repeat.
Let's check the news. A new study out of the University of Southern California is shedding light on what biological age clocks are actually measuring, and the...
Nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry about that. Here we go. This is a shorter one.
Let's check the news. A new analytical review is challenging one of the oldest assumptions in human evolution, that meat was the primary driver of our expanding brains. Researchers from the University of Sydney and the University of Glasgow suggest that fruit and honey may have been just as critical, providing the glucose that a growing human brain simply cannot function without. The brain alone consumes roughly 1/5 of the body's energy at rest, and even during prolonged fasting, it still requires glucose that fat-derived ketones cannot fully replace. Turning now to a long-range water security study with sobering projections, a global analysis published in the journal Clean Water finds that nearly 2/3 of the world's population could face severe clean water shortages by the end of this century. Researchers at Utrecht University warn that the crisis goes beyond simple supply shortages, noting that water temperature, salinity, and pollution levels render vast quantities technically available but practically unusable for drinking, farming, and industrial cooling. The study modeled conditions through 2,100 across 5 major sectors, and its findings suggest the consequences will vary sharply by region and by use. And finally, a story sitting squarely at the intersection of medical promise and existential risk. Scientists are generating significant discussion around a lab-engineered synthetic cell designed to mimic the behavior of living biological cells. Proponents envision applications ranging from targeted drug delivery directly to tumor sites, to on-demand medication production for astronauts far from medical care. Critics, however, are raising serious concerns, from the potential for weaponization in biological warfare, to the theoretical possibility that synthetic organisms could outcompete natural bacteria entirely, destabilizing ecosystems in ways that may be impossible to reverse. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. Shout out Puff. We got MJ's there. Who'd I miss? Cramos, thanks for the call. Logan, I see ya. Who'd I miss? I know I missed some people. Sorry about that. Kelly's there. I try to get everybody in there. Kelly says this, in one night, Minnesota lost all their flock cameras. I'm sure that was a complete coincidence. What's up, Techni and Logia? I see you there. What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. If I missed you, please forgive me. I'm trying to do my best, doing like 10 things at once as we go through all this. Here we go. Trouble Minds coming up now. We got more from James, Derek the Nightstocker, and your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network, a new and improved, by the way, Troubled Minds Radio Network, KUAP, Las Vegas Digital Broadcasting. Check it out, KUAPDB.com. I am going deep. I am literally coding from the ground up a completely new thing because I think the world needs it. Hey, using everybody else's antiquated software is garbage when we can make our own. So please check it out, KUAPDB.com. Many people are already there. We got James, there's Ricky, there's Herschel. Let's read the list. The list is down there. We got AIP Podcast, Herschel Sterling, Salcedo Paranormal, Temple of the Owl, Matsowl. And of course, you can listen to Troubled Minds, not just live, but on archive there. And I'm going to start reaching out and to other podcasts. Let's create the bestest actual radio network that's ever been. That's what's on my mind for this. And of course, we're also on 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Shout out Jack. Thanks for having us over there as well. Look, tonight we're talking about this bizarre thing. It just happened. Organisms living inside the gut of psychopaths could be the drivers of bad, sinful behavior and conduct, claim scientists. Remember, every time, if I had a nickel for every time I read the word claim scientists in any article ever, I would, I'd buy myself something pretty. But how much of this is nonsense? How much of this do you believe? And of course, I'm calling this, and as these worlds come together, the devil was a passenger. Possession was the head count. True, false, or somewhere in between? Love to hear what you think. James, anything to add? And we'll go to Derek in Massachusetts.
Great call from Cramos. Also, if you want to look at it whenever you have a chance, Mike, I did put in the stage chat a reference to a court case. The first court case where the phrase "the devil made me do it" was actually used in court, and it involves the Warrens.
No, stop it.
Anyway,
the Warrens. Stop it. The Warrens.
No, yeah.
Stop it, James. Okay. Go ahead.
Yep. So, but yeah, and I mean that was a case where there was a murder, and the person involved was said to be possessed by a demon, and it was actually used in court. I don't remember the details. I don't even know all the details, but when you mentioned that phrase earlier, or someone, I forget who, made me think of that. So maybe something to look into, and maybe part 2 at some other point. But yeah, looking forward to Derek especially, and the rest of the calls tonight if there are any more.
Thank you. I didn't know that, and I am now I know. So since that one's been worn out in court, next time we'll just be like, no, it's my gut microbiome. Can we give me a test here? But I'm not planning on doing anything terrible, so we're good to go. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Yellow button. Wrong one. Derek in Massachusetts.
Yep.
Nightstocker. What's up, brother? Welcome back. It is fantastic to hear your voice. How you doing? And tons of things here, man. Tons of angles to tackle here. And we've hit this with so many similar spaces in the past, but now suddenly new science is suggesting all manner of wild things. What's your take? I mean, is it conspiratorial? Is it science? Is it metaphysics? I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts here.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. First, I'm sorry for vanishing. I'm just I'll return messages at some point. I'm just not in a headspace to do it. It's a perfect storm of like physical anguish, psychological and emotional. I'm just feeling really not good about myself at all. I'm just in a bad way in totality. But I just figured I'd check in and call. Nothing to do, no synchronicity involved with the fact that it's a psychopath show or anything like that. That didn't motivate me to call, but I'm working in it, and I need a jolt during break.
Nobody thinks that about you. Absolutely nobody thinks that about you. It is fantastic to hear your voice. And take as long as you need. And you know me. You got a friend in me. If you need help, I'm here, brother. Okay, appreciate you. Thanks for checking in. I was worried. I was legitimately worried, as you know. And to be honest, I'm worried about myself. I am doing bad. I don't know how else to put that. I'm in a bad headspace right now, and also just my back is killing me. I've been missing like a day of work like every 2 weeks, basically, just because I can't. My back is really hurting me. But I don't know. My mind's turning on me, kind of. But as far as this is concerned, yeah, I mean, I feel like I was thinking about this the other day, that there was a host back when
I used to like help out my friend Lindsay with the Higher Side Chats, like after show roundtable band show or whatever. And one of the ones during that era was John Brisson. He has like a Fix My Gut book, and this is on. He had to go on conspiracy shows to like lay out this Fix My Gut information. This is in like 2017, 2018 probably. And then if you're driving to work on the car radio, like or just on Peacock on the TV or whatever, just everything is a gut commercial. Fix your gut, fix your guts. Like it's no longer a conspiracy. People are aware that there's some type of like gut-brain barrier, all that kind of stuff. Like the gut is like your second mind. The gut, if your gut's bad, you're bad. All that kind of stuff. And that goes to like as far as it changing your mood and stuff. We know that if a person is hungry, then they can get hangry, and or just a gut biome will give you cravings for sugar and stuff. Your cravings for all the bad stuff that doesn't serve you well is not your body telling you need that. It's your gut biome has run amok and stuff. That's because all the crazy ingredients of everything we eat. And I don't want to make it a whole health show, but as far as our behavior and our health and our overall prosperity is affected with our gut for sure. So if your gut's messed up, do you lose that sense to like a crazy degree where you become psychopathic and stuff? And then I couldn't find it in my notes, but I was looking. I don't think I brought it up on a show, but I think I found it just randomly, and I was like waiting for like a werewolf show or something like that. But I didn't spend a while looking for it. But there's some parasites, and when I asked the AI, it told me no, there's no human parasites, but there are a bunch of parasites that lay eggs and are most active during the full moon, and they're lunar cycle based parasites. And apparently humans don't really have any, but but when I asked Google, it said that there's like holistic people believe that your microbiome and stuff are and parasites and all those kind of things. When you do cleanses, associate them with the moon and stuff, and that they're most active during a full moon. And like, so that werewolf myths potentially could be based on these parasites that make you a little bit crazy or animalistic based on the lunar cycle and stuff. And then Jen mentioned it stuff with the religious aspects, but that we have also like silver is how you kill a werewolf, and it's some kind of, if it's parasite based, silver is antiseptic. Garlic and sunlight are big things to kill parasites, because that's what the vampire myth is based on. Jen brought up the religion aspects, but like parasites and demons, I think it does go hand in hand. And in the Bible, they tell you don't eat shellfish, don't eat pork. The two things that are most associated with getting parasites. Don't eat doo-doo, because that's how you get sick from parasites and stuff. I mean, for all we know, the origin, like I don't want to be blasphemous, but maybe a part of the origin of holy water is they needed people to take a bath, clean yourself up and stuff, because you got some invasive stuff happening.
Funny enough, I was just reading, just real quick on that, I was just reading, somebody said this earlier, and I don't know where I saw this. It was today I saw this, though. They were like, holy water was basically water and alcohol, of course, the blessings, but it was kind of like to wash your stanky ass. then you said it. And then I'm like, whoa, here we go. The synchronicities fly. Derek shows up and it's flying off the charts already.
No, but I didn't see that. I was just thinking of it during the show. But it is true though. I mean, like, what if it, like, even kind of like the O Brother Where style, when you're getting fully dunked into the lake and stuff, or fully dunked into the river, shut out rivers. Maybe you were getting much more dunked than in like a Catholic baptism nowadays and stuff, that there was a much more of the capital C cleanliness aspect to it and stuff, and being unclean and being tainted by God are kind of synonymous with each other in religious sense and stuff. So potentially behavior, and generally talked about, but this invisible enemy, this behavior changing thing happening could be tied into all kind of folklore, demons, vampires, werewolves. I just think the being a number of parasites, apparently not human, none confirmed to be in a human affecting us, but a bunch of parasites exist that are most active, lay all their eggs, do all their stuff, change the behavior of the host during the full moon and stuff. So I don't know, maybe all the stuff is based on some kind of invisible enemy that we have in us. You know, what do you think?
Yeah, no, fire stuff. Kelly in the chat says it's true, because if your ass itches during a full moon cycle, it tells you have parasites. I've never heard this before, but look, it doesn't shock me, by the way. I mean, the vampires and all this stuff, the full moon cycles and all the things, and flowers that bloom at night. I mean, the world is full of like clues that tell us they're not in your face, because you got to go find them. You got to dig a little deeply, but they're there. And so to just be like, it's some weird esoteric thing. I'm not so sure about that. I saw an article, speaking of which, the ancient Egyptians believed that baboons were associated with the moon. I didn't read it yet. It's from Popular Mechanics. We'll probably do a show on it coming up. But, and it's like, and it's been confirmed. And then that's just the headline. I didn't read it at all. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why or where or how, or it was just a headline. But funny enough that whole space kind of comes into the conversation here. More synchronicities flying, bro. He's just bringing them like crazy.
I mean, because the lunatic full moon thing never really made a ton of sense to me. I think because I just looked up the parasite thing, that it's like serotonin based, that there's more light if it's like a fully illuminated celestial body in the sky, creating more light, then your serotonin is messed up, which will affect your behavior and in turn affect your gut biome. Everything goes back to the gut. So if you're all out of whack, if you're not getting enough sleep, or if your diet's bad and stuff, your gut biome will become bad, and that gut biome then sends messages to the brain, and potentially psychopathy could be one of them. Yeah, damn, I had one. I'm rambling. Pretty throw by. But we brought up aliens. Joe brought up aliens or something like that earlier, and that's a lot with what the xenomorph is. And the xenomorph was based on the parasitic wasp. When I was watching the making of the movie Alien documentary, Ridley Scott based it on the parasitic wasp, and one of like the scientists who were given like an interview during it and stuff said like the parasitic wasp will invade the host. It's like shove a needle into it, like and basically penetrate it and plant an egg. So the ant or the bug, whatever it is, that has the eggs growing inside them, has no idea that there's a foreign body inside them. It might change their behavior towards when they're about to hatch or when they're kind of moving around and stuff. But for the most part, it's an invisible enemy. You don't know, but then all of a sudden something emerges from you and bursts out of you. Just like what happened with the xenomorph and alien. Just you're eating breakfast and all of a sudden you feel a little weird and all of a sudden something jumps out of you. And then he said that like the parasitic wasp, I don't have that in front of me, but there's like more species of parasitic wasps than there are total species on the planet or something like that. And there's more species of parasites like by a vast amount than any other organism on planet Earth. And essentially we are a parasite planet. The most effective way, the way that's being used the most by the most amount of life on the planet is a parasite thing. It's parasitical. It's to invade a host and get the host to puppet a host. So is that what the Archons are doing? Is that as above, so below? Is it happening on every level? Are the psychic parasites? Is AI parasite like Elon Musk was talking about and stuff? I think that's all pretty fascinating. I got one more little chunk here, but think about that before I hit that.
Yeah, if you go down to the very bottom of the write up, I know everybody doesn't read it, but that's where this circles back to. So it's all these different things, these control mechanisms I'm always talking about. And in this case, it's biological. But eventually it circles back to not just biological, sort of the evolutionary space we came from. Eventually it goes to an algorithm. Shout out algorithm. And, you know, the black mirror of the phone and all the things we've always talked about in the past. And look, if you want to believe that is, you know, direct and real and whatever, fine. Or not, that's fine too. Or just metaphorically. I think that we are, once again, the host is us, and the information or the control is coming from within, right? That the call is coming from inside the house. But in this case now, that's baked into us forever for evolutionary purposes forever. And it may be one of the major defining reasons why we're still murdering each other in, 2026, when we should have evolved past it or out of it. But beyond that, I think there's something deeper here that happens with the control that's outside of us. That is the algorithmic space that is intentionally causing, young women to hate themselves because they look at Instagram and everybody's perfect. Like there's like this is an outside of us influence that has been built perfectly to make us hate ourselves, when we've got an internal version of the same thing. kind of just chugging along. Anyway, but if you read the write-up, read it through, please. It's very good. And the bottom really brings it back to that space. It's an algorithmic space. It's not just the internal mechanism. Now there's an external mechanism we're also dealing with, which is not fair. It's not fair in 2026 to be a human, especially a young person, for crying out loud. How the hell do they know what a normal person looks like in their growing mind space? It's just not fair. It's not okay. And anyway, but that's where that write up finishes. Just a spoiler alert for those that didn't read it.
No, Exactly. I mean, I think we kind of over the last few years been talking about this in like different types of ways. I mean, I think the culture has too. The idea of like the woke mind virus or any kind of different types of mind viruses, or just memes, like mimetic things in nature, are kind of just these things that are that exist to not necessarily to hurt the host, but they don't care about the host at all. They're to feed themselves. So people talk about capitalism in this way, that why would a huge corporation dump all those chemicals in the river, shut up rivers? It doesn't do any good. Like any human being would understand that that's bad, but it benefits the corporation. It benefits, it has some kind of non-human, invisible thing that's pushing it. The host be damned, the host body be damned, society be damned, like all this, like the way people like post online and all this kind of stuff, just the way people act and everything, for the attention kind of stuff, is to feed the algorithm, to feed the like all this kind of stuff. It's very parasitical. So it seems like most amount of organisms use it. We're seeing it in like societies using it, different, like marketing is using it in different ways, like corporations use it for sure. Potentially keeps going up the ladder. Maybe aliens are using it, some kind of like alien hive mind, like AI, potentially future AI might use it. Maybe just like, that's the idea of evolution, all that kind of stuff. That's something that's kind of you're carrying it around. You have like a hitchhiker kind of on you, just like draining you, like some kind of cosmic mosquito or whatever. But it's basically the where do ideas come from question that we always talk about, like all the time. And in this case, it's parasites or whatever. And I think that's kind of takes a lot of the charm out of a lot of these conversations and stuff. But I think maybe if that becomes more normalized, then they can pivot back into like the woo-woo, which is like, well, what if parasites are vessels for non-human intelligences to plant seeds inside of the soil of a human being? How does a non-physical thing from beyond the veil, like, I mean, it's like Stargate or whatever. They get some kind of parasitic worm to hop in you to drive you around, the thing I forgot before was like earlier was how would, as far as like the Bible's concerned, how would somebody explain, if somebody learned this, that parasites or your microbiome or all this kind of stuff, these invisible enemies are impacting you at all at a time where people didn't understand germs, or they didn't understand that even a little bit. How would you try to explain that? I mean, a demon is a pretty apt analogy. Just don't eat this because demons like it. Don't eat this because demons like it. Don't eat this because demons like it. But in reality, it's the parasites like it. Parasites like it. And there's eggs in that. Yada yada. Or do this because demons don't like it. And it also happens to be, well, parasites also don't like garlic. Parasites also don't like sunlight. Parasites also don't like silver. Yada yada. And then like that brings a question to like, and I remember searching this a few years ago when I was looking for some kind of woo-woo angle to like a boring medical slideshow. I don't want to say keywords without needing it, but during the 2020, like early 2020s, when I was bored with those type of shows,
you can say it.
I wanted to get in a little more conspiratorial.
You can say
Sorry,
it. The woo flu. You can say it. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So synchronistically, like obviously ivermectin was a big one for the people were recommending, which is a dewormer. People were recommending sunlight and garlic. Synchronistically, the movie that won the Oscars immediately before the lockdown was the movie Parasite, and all that kind of stuff. That like there's a lot of parasitical things in there. So then it got me searching for programmable parasites, programmable things like that. Do those exist? And I don't have them right now. I didn't search them right now, but at the time, a few years ago, I did find some stuff that like it is in the works. People trying to figure out programmable parasites. Could that be like a trigger? Could that like trigger sleeper agents? Could that do all kind of crazy stuff? Is that like, is that what Morgellons is kind of? Is that what all these kind of weird things are? Or is that simply knowing what this list of like 30 impronounceable ingredients are, all of it, every shelf at the supermarket I'm working at for every item, what those little mysterious like ingredients will do to a person. So like, oh, I have this kind of wave I can send out, this imperceptible wave I can send out. And if a person ate this that has like this like chemical in it and this chemical in it and this chemical in it, then it'll trigger this reaction or it'll trigger this reaction. And they can play humanity like keys on a keyboard because they know all the different things we've ingested and what those do to the microbiome and what that will then do to the personality of the people. If they can trigger sleeper agents, they can trigger psychopaths, they can trigger all this kind of stuff. without the need of any kind of like cosmic death ray or any kind of like crazy stuff. It's just they know what's in us because they're putting it in us, and they know what it triggers because they understand it. They haven't told us about it yet, you know. So like a more literal programmable parasite, and then more just can they program us with the weird stuff that they're putting in us already? Just things that we put in willingly. I'm not talking like many medical stuff. I'm saying just the food in a box of Cheerios and stuff. That why is this and this? Why and this and this? Because maybe like they know what it does and they can trigger something in it. And then personality wise, Ozempic and these type of things are massive right now, and it has personality changes. I mean, it changes your appetite, but it also like can make you quit smoking, and it has all these other weird tangential side effects and stuff. And I asked the AI, what organs is it affecting? How those things work? And it said it's the pancreas for insulin production, which is why it was a diabetes medication, and also the gut. It affects the gut. Was that what the personality changes is from? Because it affects the gut. And the way it works is Gila monster venom. It sounds like some kind of sorcery or whatever. Oh, I have this chemical. We can put it in you, and we know it creates this change. It will make you stop smoking. It'll make you stop eating this kind of stuff. But what if there's more sinister versions of that, or accidental versions of that that'll turn you into a werewolf, or that'll turn you into some kind of MK Ultra sleeper assassin, or whatever, or just. I mean, does that make any sense? I'm rambling.
No, perfect. No, perfect. Like I've read similar stuff recently too regarding Ozempic, and it basically draws the human desire out of you. So all those things like the 7 deadly sins, they start to just shrink, and the gluttony, you name it, right? And so suddenly in that particular space, and I'm saying this, I'm citing something I read. It was an X thread from, this is probably weeks ago, so I can't remember exactly who wrote it, but they were talking about how they were on this thing. It may have been like Brian Johnson or somebody. It was like some like really big sort of Twitter influencer, but they were like, it's basically drawing the thrill of life from me. So, you know, sure, I'm not eating and I'm losing weight and I'm looking more like I'd like to look, but also it's drawing my thrill of life. It's gone, and I don't have. I'll see if I can find this. Like I'm doing this poorly because you triggered it in my mind, but something like that. So it's literally like one of those drugs that's like drawn the human space out of the human space, and maybe even the shrinking this, you know, the psychopath stuff. Who knows? Like the gut biota and all the things we're talking about tonight. I don't know, but it's something like that. Where go ahead. Sorry.
No. I mean, I don't want to forget it. But you said it shrinks the 7 deadly sins or whatever, which I think is a cool way to say it. It's shrinking the gluttony, it's shrinking these things. And that's the one that they are selling. That's the one that they advertise, and then they figured out, oh, this is what it's doing. But all these clinical trials and stuff, maybe they know ones that can instill 7 deadly sins into you, can make a person, not literally, but can make a person psychopathic if they want to, you know, with X medications, or just like, they know the keys that can be played and stuff. And then, I don't know. There's I don't know. Yeah, I'm rambling. I'm losing track of myself. But yeah, that's totally really good. I just want to say I'll check in via text, but just I'm not answering any messages basically in general. I just can't. I can't explain it, but I'm just in a constant panic attack feeling all the time, and then a bunch of literal panic attacks where I feel really bad, and then I'm so depressed all the time. I'm just really bumming out in a bad way. I'm not happy being me right now. But I miss everybody. Just want to check in. But
okay.
That's all I got. Thank you guys. Love you, James.
Before you go,
you as well.
I love you too. Before you go, he left. We'll circle back on that. That's okay. I mean, I want to point out too.
I heard you say before you go.
Just before you go, the dire messages I sent you. I'm sorry. I literally am just like, hey, bro, like what's going on?
No, it's all on me. It's
it's okay.
I'm the one being the bad friend by ignoring messages.
No, it's okay.
I'm not ignoring Michael Strange. I'm ignoring the entire world.
It's okay. It's okay. It's not. It doesn't have to be personal. I just wanted to say, hey, like, if you need us, if you need any of us, and people in the chat are all saying, you know, like the same thing. Like the energy is your way, and whatever any of us can do for you, I'm sure I'm speaking for the entire group here. I appreciate hearing you. Like I said, it's a revelation right now to hear your voice to me. I was really worried about you, and welcome back. If you need anything from any of us, please just reach out. We're here. Okay. I just wanted to point that out is that, and before you go, so Derek, do you really love me, or is it my ravishing jawline and my charisma, or is it my microbiota, my perfect mix of microbiota?
No, it's my microbiome is just telling me to say that. I think it might be drawn.
Exactly. Like maybe the entirety of human chemistry is all a farce, and it's all like sort of hidden in our gut.
It could be, or just the triggers, or just the I don't know, the little microscopic little serpents. That's all the serpent metaphors and all that kind of stuff. The snake that's whispering in Eve's ear was not an actual literal snake, but maybe she got a parasite in the garden, and that's the one that told her that's what gave her the craving for the thing that she wasn't supposed to have. In this case, an apple, rather than like fully gummy worms, which is my craving that my gut tells me to get.
Amen.
But yeah, that's all I got. Sorry, everybody.
You're good.
I do love you, brother.
You're the best.
James.
Appreciate you very much.
You as well.
You know me, love him. Derek the Nightstocker. Please give him a follow. Let's inspire him to make more content. Reach out to him. Like, go leave him a nice comment on his YouTube channel. Okay, if you haven't done that yet, it's free to do. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It is under Nightstocker. It's alphabetical right there. Is it the Nightstocker or is it there we go. All right. My alphabet is broken right now. Right above me. There you go. Nightstocker. Go leave him a nice comment on his YouTube channel. Hey, look, we're here for you, man. That's the whole point. Like, this group is here together, and thank you for checking in. I was legitimately worried that, I don't know. I don't know what to think, right? Somebody ghosts you. You don't know what to think. And like you said, he's not ghosting me. He's ghosting everybody. So welcome back. If you need help, please reach out. It's there. And fire stuff. Glad to have you back. Anything, James? And then we'll go to Eric and wrap this up.
No, just agreed with everything you said there. Derek, you always know you can message me. And I'll do what I can if I can.
Amen. And I'm pretty sure that goes for everybody here. Everybody knows and loves Derek. He's been such a good friend for a long time with all the amazing ideas. And look, he just shows up and he's like, I'm not even like doing my best. And he just like drops sink after sink after sink after sink. That's absolutely wild. He just brings it. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Eric in Ohio. What's up, my man? You've been there for most of the night. Thank you for chilling with us and hanging out. What do you got? There's a ton of stuff here. I hope you're well. And what can you tell us about, I keep wanting to say a proto-virus, but it's a retrovirus that brought us from the dawn of human civilization or whatever else. Welcome, brother.
Neo-retrovirus.
Yeah.
Hi,
totally.
James. Hi, Michael. And Derek, stay strong. I think of you too. I was wondering why I hadn't heard from you. I hope all is going to be well. And I would be happy to help if I can. Just let me know. But with me, all is well. And I don't know, you had me thinking. You had me thinking about a paper that a guy named Olson wrote in 2020. And it was on touring. And the reason I was reading it is because touring in this paper was proven to be the only free amino acid that was able to be incorporated into an alpha tubulin. And microtubulars are made up of alpha and beta tubulin, and the taurine will attach itself to it, and it changes the way that the tubulin is made and how far it's spaced away from other tubulins and stuff. So when you're thinking about ORC-OR, you're talking about resonances of superpositioned matter that causes bubbles in space-time that propagate and collapse. And this is due to the structure of the cytoskeletal structure of these neurons that's made up of tubulin, right? So if taurine attaches to this tubulin, it changes the lattice structure of that cytoskeletal structure and changes the harmonic vibrations that occur between it and the small scale structure of space-time, which is what the theory of ORC-OR is based on. That's Roger Penrose's reduction principle. So there's definitely that connection. Go ahead.
I feel like you're spying on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. like Derek shows up and just slays a few sinks, like kind of just intermittently, like, just slays it. You just did it too. I've got this bit on taurine. You ready?
Yeah.
Check it out. It's reasonably short. So when the Porto team was doing this research, looked for the chemical fingerprint of psychopathy in the gut, 2 molecules came up positive: glucose and taurine. Taurine is the stuff in every energy drink on the shelf. So one of the marketers that tracked with higher psychopathy scores is a compound millions of people who are pounding by the can on purpose to feel like more of an animal. So interestingly, that taurine came up as part of this, and they are part of every single energy drink out there. And now we're like, okay, so there's a measurable space, maybe kind of squint with your mind's eye, that taurine is part of this psychopathy. However, it's in every energy drink that every, millennial is or Gen Z is chugging.
Yes. I used to know a guy that got high on it too.
It doesn't surprise me. I don't drink them because I get heart palpitations because I'm old.
Me too. I don't
touch it. But you literally just brought another. Like, I had this ready to go. If nobody called next, this was the next line I was going to take. But you brought it up, so it's all yours. Taurine's all yours. Hey, guys, it's out there in those energy drinks, and it also is part of this study. Hey, I'm not making the connection. I'm not telling you to not drink whatever. I'm just saying. Go ahead, sir.
Don't drink it, man.
Okay, you said it, Obi.
Yeah, I'll take the hit. Also, have you heard of KSMK2, which is a snowflake-shaped hexametric holoenzyme?
No.
Okay, so this is another thing that's kind of related to OR, and I could drop a link here, because it's like the one thing that I looked up because it just sounded so weird. I'm like, well, I should probably get a link to that. So I just sent that your way.
Appreciate that.
That's the snowflake protein. And it is, so the biome of the gut and what's there talks to the brain through the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve sends this KSMK2 enzyme that also establishes itself on the outside of microtubulins and the cytoskeletal lattice of these neurons in the brain, and changes the resonance frequency of those, because inside those tubulin is the hydrophobic pockets that push the electron clouds together that causes the entanglement to occur, right? So there's like two things acting on the brain potentially. One is taurine that changes the lattice structure of the cytoskeletal skeleton of the cell, and the other is this KSMK2 enzyme that would cause it to phase differently, and the hydrophobic pockets to phase differently. So, and then of course the whole idea with OR is that you're connecting to what's on the other side of the substrate, beyond the Planck length. Your consciousness is coming from that area and not as an emergent property of calculations being done, because Penrose is famous for saying, it's non-computational, it can't be done in that way. So I know that those two things are really weird and are connected to what you're talking about. It reminds me of there's a band I really like called The Fix, and they had a song called Are We Ourselves, where they had lyrics that said, because seeing through these eyes, we lead a double life no one would know. So check it out, stepping out, here I go. Off an album called Phantoms that also had a song called Phantom Living on it, that had lyrics that said, phantom living, throwing out deception that is implanted, stealing one's time and preventing the answer of one's actions. So it's that feeling, I think, described by Cy Kernan and these chemicals, that this external force is steering one's behavior that has historically brought diagnoses of demonic possession and that sort of thing, which, is not necessarily per se wrong. Obviously, it was a diagnostic tool that was able to predict the sudden behavioral change in someone. And I think also, too, that back in those times that they were able to distinguish neuropathic issues from things like this. Like when people had schizophrenia or other issues of the brain, I think those were recognized. I mean, it's the difference between the village idiot and a person who's possessed, and the intent of the people affected. So I feel like there was the ability to designate, even back in ancient times, the difference between what would pass for possession, which may be these things here scientifically, chemically, materialistically, or non-materialistically, if you include OR. So I think the end result's the same. I think it's just a matter of switching out the nomenclature back and forth. Either way, it's a distinct, different situation that is distinctly more disruptive and violent a lot of times, either to the self or other people around them, and oftentimes is attempted to be treated, as opposed to, say, idiocy was never attempted to be treated. It was just somebody was that way. But if somebody has this problem, we will use exorcism, or we will drive this out of them, or we'll do various things, right? Depending on what the culture is. So
yeah, it is. It's interesting how these things come together, even though we're told they don't belong in the same space whatsoever, but they certainly play. And it depends on, how you look at the world and how you look at sort of this emerging science, which OR definitely is, Hammeroff, Penrose. And if you don't follow these guys on X, Hammeroff is very active, and he's actively debating, the toppest in the game, Eric Weinstein and Sabine, whatever her last name is, Hasselhoff or Hassenboff or whatever. I mean, I don't mean that. I don't mean that derogatorily. I just don't really know her name. But I mean, like these, the top physicists in the game, he's like debating them and be like, hey, like sure, you can write this off, but what about this and this and this? And don't forget that Stuart Hammeroff is an anesthesiologist. That's like his baseline for this, how he sees this, which means, can you shut off consciousness? And he does it clinically. Like, he's like, yeah, absolutely. Boom. You do this thing and it's boom, and they're gone, and they have no idea what happens from here to there. And it's like you're shutting down the connection of the microtubules from this larger space, like the OR, the quantum consciousness. So, I mean, like I said, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. There's very smart people, way smarter than me. But it's interesting to see some of this emerging science kind of battling against the legacy science, right? The accepted science. It's good. This is good. It's, it's what Troubled Minds is about, except I'm not a scientist, right? We're like, let's talk about ghosts and weird shit. And then here's where we're at. There's definitely a line and where this stuff comes together, and does not too. It diverges in a lot of ways. So I don't know, man, it's complicated, but that's why we talk about it. And I'm not scared of complicated ideas. I'm not scared of saying I don't know. And I'm not scared of being like, what does it all mean in the end? Triple I don't know, bro. Like your end is going to be different than mine, right? And that's important that we talk about it together.
Hey, have you heard of ABS?
I
know I shouldn't just throw a 3-letter acronym at you and ask if you've heard it. Could mean anything. I'm sorry. You're going to like it though. It's auto brewery syndrome.
Ooh, you had me a brewery. You had me a brewery. I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
but I'll
brewery.
Take it. You had me a brewery.
Auto brewery. There's like that hyphen's doing some work. Yeah, it's a condition where your gut can ferment what's in it and cause you to become exceedingly drunk, and it's legally recognized as a defense. There was a Hamburg versus New York in 2015, Burgess versus Belgium in 2024, State versus Burbank in Maine in 2019. All of these people had this happen to them, and had an accident and had bad things happen, and it had nothing to do with anything that they had done or ingested or decided. Like, it just something that happened.
Now that you explained it, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's where the gut biome generates methane, which causes you to be drunk against your will, right? Am I right? So I've never heard of it in the terms of ABS, and it is in the write-up, I think, and part of it. And that's exactly where, in the frame of this conversation, it's like, okay, so if you are drunk, and people act differently when they're drunk, obviously, go check the criminal dockets, and
try it out.
Yeah, try it out yourself. Just try it very simply, and then yes, but what? Imagine like if it happens at 2 p.m. while you're at work, and it's your gut biome that's created this drunk state that you never actually anticipated for. And then, yes, and there are court proceedings. And so I'm glad you brought it up. I didn't know that term, but it's definitely in the write-up, and it's definitely in part of the space here. And it is methane being created within the microbiome that makes you drunk. Literally makes you drunk, like you're drinking alcohol. Yep.
There's precedence already for the extension of what you were asking earlier about the legalities of getting people off on this sort of situation. And they're trying to designate between the difference like they do with ABS. So it's probably coming. And I mean, just imagine if it wasn't the effect of being drunk and it was some other effect that landed on you and changed the color of your mood, if it was anger that you couldn't understand or place, if it was sadness or whatever it would be, it would cloud your judgment, and it wouldn't necessarily be some result of some action that you did. It may not be foreseen or prevented in any way, these situations. So it could be that that's how it is for some people, that they don't choose that life, and that's just who they are and how they were built and how they're working. And that's doesn't absolve what needs to be done to get such people off the street, obviously, but it might mean a more understanding rehabilitation system for those kind of people.
Well said. Yeah. I mean, I think we should probably all get tested for this in adulthood, because there's some people that just kind of seem like they're randomly drunk, like randomly, like at 2 p.m., like I said, and maybe they are experiencing this. And so the thing is too, is it's not like a massive amount either. Like, imagine the scale of it. Like, me a little tipsy and me like smashed and drunk is two very different things. And so, like, if this kind of comes and goes and you can't really control it, it just happens to you. And then like Satya said in the chat, time to tell the boss off, right? Like this is the thing that would come to my mind. But shout out my boss, if she's out there listening, she's incredible, and it's nothing like that for me. I'm blessed and grateful for the job I work, but I've worked jobs where I tell you what, if I had like 3 drinks and sat in some meeting with some asshole boss, you bet your bippy, I'd be like, bro, we need to have a talk right here in front of everybody.
Yeah, but then you'd be very, very sad after you sobered up.
That's true.
You're like, oh man, what did I do?
What happened? But without even like the pleasure of like drinking the drink, was it like a nice, buttery rum, or was it like I didn't even get to drink it. I just told the boss. You really
have to make this radio thing work.
Yeah, exactly. Don't remind me. Anyway, don't remind me. Yeah, I mean, it's super cool. I'm glad you brought it up. Look again, you and Derek both slaying and Jen too. Like, there's a lot of threads in this space that are very, very, very interesting. And then you can pull them apart and say, okay, these are different things, but I'm not sure they're different things. I think we got some commingling of some weirdness, and that's why we talk about these ideas, because I think coming up soon, there's going to be some science that will shock all of us. Well, except it's all clickbait headlines, so maybe it won't. They're like, oh, we solved this and we solved that. And then you look into it, it's like, yeah, in mice. Congratulations. Okay, all right. Anyway, what else you got, brother?
You're not talking about reverse aging, are you?
Oh, yeah, that's definitely one of them. 100% one of them. Like,
you said in mice.
Everything's in mice. Every headline you read. Headline you read scientifically.
Now that they're actually in human trials.
No. I understand that
There's two companies
because of the acceleration. But I'm just saying, like, go back 10 years ago, and then this is not a thing. It's all in mice anyway. And you're right. Like we are accelerating to the point. Like shout out James, where there's people that have patented. There's a race for these patents to cure blindness, and I mean this stuff is happening. So I'm not a doomer here, but I'm just saying, like, the last 10 years of clickbait nonsense is a lot of clickbait nonsense.
It kills me that it's eye drops. The one of the human trials is just for the eyes, and the delivery system is eye drops, and the DNA goes to the back of the retina, hits the back of the retina, and basically starts creating new stem cells for the eyes. And so I hope it goes well. I really hope it goes well. There's that, and I think the other one is liver, I believe. But
I'm looking forward to that one. Totally looking forward to that one. Not to be morbid, but I mean, yeah, like this is what I'm saying. Like there's been patents in line for this for 6, 12, 18 months now because of this AI acceleration space, and it's accelerating every day. So again, like if you have ailments out there and you're like, like don't despair. Sometimes there are fixes that can be done technologically, and it's coming. It's all coming. I'm telling you what. Don't make me pimp this radio station again and tell you, like, look, some random guy that kind of barely knows anything about code can code this thing. You see what happens when, like, an actual very, very smart person that knows genetics and, right, like what they are able to do with these AI systems. Scale is good. So let's cross our fingers that this goes the best for us. You, speaking of best, you were the best, brother. What else you got?
Good, man. Thank you.
I appreciate the call. You were the best. You know me, love him. Eric in Ohio. Can I say it properly? Not Iowa, Ohio. troubledminds.org/friends. Click the friends link. Scroll down. Thank you for that link and the conversation. I'll add that to the stuff down there. Scroll down. It's alphabetical. Follow Eric right there. Check out the projects he's working on. James, anything to add? We'll go to Jay in Arizona and wrap this up.
I did just, I remember what I want to say, and great call from Eric. I did want to say, I remember it from earlier. I've heard that some exorcists out there, possibly more and more probably going forward, they do look for mental illness before they jump to they go to the actual possession thing. And I'm just wondering how much of that, in some cases, how much that mental illness does have to do with something in the gut biome, as we were talking about there. So again, that science and also religion sort of being there together, trying to figure out what's really going on.
Amen. Well said. Shout out the real Jason Barker over on Rumble says the best way to be a bestie with Mike is to get one of the awesome hats from his store. I'm not going to say you're wrong. Troubledfans.com. 702-857-6939. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Welcome, Jason Barker, and everybody else too. If I missed you, I'm sorry about that. Like I said, I can only do so many things at the same time. You try and read chat and all the things and play all the things and do all the things and then, keep a coherent thought. It's nearly impossible. I'm like a freak of nature. I'm like a really weird dude that has like this perfect niche of whatever this is. Jay in Arizona. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you tonight? Thanks for staying up late with us. Thanks for the call. What's on your mind, my man? Go right ahead.
I'm just trying to catch up regarding the topic. Can you kind of clarify real quick? I was just listening to the last caller, but it seemed a little out of my mental range. It seemed very scientific, his call. So I was just trying to figure out
he's something else, isn't he?
The main point of the topic.
I'll read you the headline. Organisms living inside the gut of psychopaths could be the drivers of bad, sinful behavior and conduct, claim scientists. Now, that's the thing. So do you think it's possible that the devil on your shoulder is not necessarily metaphysical, though it may be, of course, I'm not discounting that effect, but what if it's the actual your gut microbiome that's causing you to do bad things when you don't want to do them? That's the question tonight.
Interesting. I guess I'll drop two things, but I guess on that topic, Yeah, I mean, I believe, just like not washing your hands, impurity, stuff like that, it does lead to certain behaviors, I think. If you're aware of kind of reality and you kind of see, I don't know if you ever, I guess, analyze or anthropologically just behavior, I guess, in people. But I mean, to each his own. I guess there's a science explanation, and then there's other ways too. Like the best reference I could put on that is I don't know if you guys ever seen that show, great writers Vince Gilligan and Peter Gold with I think it was Breaking Bad, not Better Call Saul. It was one of them. But I just remember they had a good scene in there, just kind of foreshadowing. I think it was after they robbed the train or something like that. I forgot the guy's name, Jack and whatever, with Walter White. And they kind of showed a scene when they were in the diner, and then he goes to the restroom, and he empties out his hose or whatever, and he doesn't wash his hands, but then he looks down, there's blood on his shoe, and he cleans that off. It just kind of shows like a interesting perspective, psychology with behavior, people who are unclean, and anyways, that's just kind of like a different way my mind works, I guess, the best way I could put it metaphorically. But another thing too, I just wanted to share with you guys real quick. I was listening to a couple of your episodes, I guess from the recent months, and one of them too, I guess it kind of goes to this, like regarding this in a certain way. But I think it was the one with either space or something about the moon, and it was interesting how you guys were talking about I guess it's a woman on the moon or something like that. I'm not sure what you guys interpret it as, but what that's based upon is the book of Revelation, and that's the woman of the apocalypse. And that's basically Mary. It says in the Bible, it's a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet and the crown of the 12 stars. But anyways, it gets kind of deep. I don't want to go too much into that, but if you guys check it out, I think it's Revelation 12. And I don't know, it's just kind of interesting, everything going on in the world, but maybe these are end times, and who knows what's to come. But I don't know, like I said before, just kind of wanted to share that information with you guys, and appreciate what you do, and God bless, man.
Amen. Back to you. Thanks for staying up late with us. Thanks for the call. Be safe out there. The world's a dangerous place. It always has been. It always will be. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Jay in Arizona, the official skydiver of Troubled Minds. And the phone line still works. Did you guys hear him on Discord, by the way? Just making sure, when there's like a...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I could not hear him on Discord, so I had to go to YouTube.
Oh, you couldn't? Okay, so it was... Okay, so fucked up. Okay. Oh, so pardon my French. Yeah, okay. We're going to have to fix that. You know what happens when you have even a tiny Windows update? It changes all the... I can fix it. Super easy to fix. Thank you for the call. Anything to add, James? And let's get the hell out of here. There's, look, science and metaphysics and religion, and I mean, I don't like. To me, those aren't answers. Those are complicated mixtures of a great many things, and then mixing them together is even further complicated. I don't know. I think frameworks they're good. But also sometimes when you look at them in the way we look at them, it's so massively complicated that I don't know. Well, I'll leave it at that. there's a lot there, but we'll get back to that at some point. And I got an announcement to make regarding Troubled Minds. Go ahead, James, finish up, and then whatever you got, and then we'll finish up. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, great calls from everyone. I think there is one thing that all those things, religion and science and metaphysics and all that, seem to have in common, and that's energy and different kinds of it. And I guess could be two things, consciousness as well. But and none of that is easy. So thank you for having me on as always.
No, thanks for doing double duty and being there, Johnny on the spot with Ricky too. So I've been listening quite a lot because I'm tuning in the radio station to what you and Ricky have been doing recently. And I'll be honest, I haven't spent a ton of time listening because when you guys are doing the thing, I'm also setting up what I'm doing. So it's hard for me to do two things at the same, or 10 things at the same time, basically. So I haven't been listening to a ton of it, but setting up the radio station and listening to you guys kind of for the transitions and stuff and just listening, holy shit, man. Like you guys are next level, like fire hot. I mean, you know that already, you yourself, but I'm like, whoa. Like, what is going on here? Like, how in the world is this not gone viral? Like, this is incredibly hot. But anyway, that's my way of saying keep up the good work, man. Like the radio pro that you are is shining through in all the places. And Ricky, shout out. Hey, man, we're going places. So keep the faith in all the ways, and keep dreaming, keep thinking, keep considering what might come next, because what might come next you might not like. I mean, I'm just saying, careful what you ask for is really the question on that, and or the answer, or both. I don't know. But fire stuff, brother. I'm like, damn, holy shit, man. Here's where we're at. I guess here's where we're at.
Yeah, and just real quick, I have to thank Ricky a lot for doing all the scheduling and finding and scheduling of people to be on those shows with us. I mean, Ricky and I, we can do a show. We can manage shows ourselves as well, but it's always great to have, new guests and new people to talk to, and yeah. But thank you.
Now fire stuff. Check it out. By the way, if you're not listening to it, kuapdb.com, then it's a completely coded from scratch radio station. Go listen, give me feedback, and I can do whatever we want us to do. Okay. And you're welcome. If you want to start a podcast, you're welcome. Jacob, we're late in the night. If you can keep it short, I'd appreciate it. Welcome to the joint, and let's wrap this up.
I can probably keep it short. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. You sound great, my man.
I was just thinking about, all these things I think have a factor to your diet, your alchemical formula inside you. So this doesn't make any sense to me, really. So the last 2 days I've worked at my restaurant, bar, or whatever. So yesterday, busy as hell, packed restaurant. The time's just dragging, right? So today I had to open up my restaurant again, and it's more balanced. It's like the pace of everything is chilling, The time is going by super fast. And I'm like, how do these, how much does your diet maybe factor into some of these things? Or are we just stuck in some time zone, warp, continuum thing that's just I think about that all the time. How these theories about maybe since that 2012, we've been in some weird time warp that no one knows how to make sense of, And I'm like, this doesn't make sense because, yesterday, just most of us, my restaurant, we're pretty good at our job, but we're still in the weeds slightly, if you know what that means. It's busy, it's fast paced. We're on top of it, but it's just an hour before our shift's about to end, we're like, this shit is dragging, right? Excuse my French. And then today, it's just balance, and it's everyone's on top of everything, and just next thing you know, I remember checking the clock, noon, 12:30. I checked the clock again, 4:00 in the afternoon. What, So I think, is this something? I don't know. You other factors too, people taking pills and Ozempic and all these things. Man, things that are already altering our experience. I mean, I wake up and I try to take electrolytes, put some water, put some apple cider vinegar, some cinnamon, some lemon water. I'm like, man, these things are essential when you get older. But I'm like,
I feel you.
What is going on, man? I think there's something that's makes no sense. And I still think we live in some weird simulation, and we're all I was joking with this about someone earlier. I work in the service industry. People are talking about the bad, party drugs. I'm like, it's not my thing. But I was making a joke. I was like, okay, if you do some yayo or something, right? It's like the Legend of Zelda. You find hearts in the game, makes you healthier. You're it's kind of like that,
or whatever. You're right.
It's weird.
You're right,
I think
man.
about that. I'm like, oh.
Real quick, and what I've found, so what you're describing, and I feel you 100%. You get a little older, right? When you're young, you could just slay it, whatever. I'm not going to suggest you should do some illicit substances, but you could totally slay them at like 20 something and be fine and go to work the next day, right? Like you get to be my age. I don't do any of that stuff, but you drink a couple too many beers and you have a problem. So we're always trying to find this weird equilibrium, right? And like you said, the electrolytes and all stuff. And I found, and I'm old now. I'm getting old. I wake up and I drink a giant glass of ice cold water. You know what I mean? It's like back to the basics. It's like I don't need all the like the peptides and anyway. Just a reminder that sometimes the basics of the basics are where we should be, and finding the equilibrium is marketing that we don't need at all. Like the answer has always been here. And try a very tall cold glass of water when you wake up is one of my Michael Strangeisms, because that's the first thing I do when I wake up, and as much as possible.
It's really like you got to test this out. It's like science, right? So yeah, but also you'll have some influencer or one of my other coworkers come along and be like, oh, don't drink super cold ice water in the morning. That'll shock your immune system or shock your whole system.
Yes.
You got to drink regular warm room temperature water. Maybe put some tahini in there or something.
Exactly. Or, you got to dip yourself in the ice bath first, and then have the cold glass of water, and then drink the coffee, and then look, man, like figure out what works for you. I have a buddy, by the way, that wakes up and he dips his ass in a cold bath, like ice cold, like literally ice floating in it. I'm like, are you okay, man? Are you okay?
Those people are the people that are going to live till like they're like 100 years old, and they're going to still be like, they're going to be like, pint of Guinness.
Totally, totally. Yeah. Maybe as usual, right? Like somebody out there knows something we don't, and maybe they're doing better than us. But but my thing I'm trying to say is like, it's sometimes we make it way more complicated because of all the marketing and nonsense we get. But recognize where we came from, and our ancestors didn't have peptides. They didn't have, vitamin D pills. Not saying you shouldn't take that stuff. I'm just saying, like, recognize where we came from, and maybe sometimes simplify things, and I think you'll be okay.
I think you have to simplify that, and it's got a little bit out of control. But yeah, I don't know. There's something weird going on. Yeah, simplifying things should be the way to go. But whatever the stress of things, the algorithms are just probably putting way too much chaos out there than what we need. And yeah, it's messing all of us up more than we realize, So.
Amen. That's the point. Hey, and pay attention to what your body will tell you. I wear this ridiculous smartwatch when I sleep, and it's pretty accurate. Like I wake up and I'm like grumpy. It's like, you had a challenging night's sleep. Like, yeah, no shit. No shit, bro. Thanks for noticing, right? Or whatever. But it's like, you had a very nice actual night's sleep, and your day is going to be fantastic. Like, bro, stop putting thoughts in my head. I'm going to do me. I'm going to be me. Race it to the fridge to get my cold glass of water. I mean, hey, I think influences are all around us, and I don't know, man. Like, I only wear it in case I have a heart attack in the middle of the night, so my wife can dial 911.
I mean, I trust those things very much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'll know if your heart stops.
That's my opinion, but it just seems like it's like, it's giving you this amount of harmony that you probably need, but you're like, I'm not in the mood for that today.
Yeah, totally.
You could do something else that would boost your mood, but it's not whatever this thing is telling you to do. That's all I'm trying to say.
Amen. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you staying up late with us. Thanks for popping in here. And hey, hang in there with all the things and listen to your body. Like, how you feel based on what you did will kind of, right, give you.
Sometimes you just need a good burrito to set you straight.
Amen, brother. A $20 burrito. Don't get me started on that. You're the best.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Right.
Take care.
Okay.
Jacob, Harsher Boy, Mephisto on Discord. Follow him, please. TroubledMinds.org/friends. Scroll down just a little bit. It's alphabetical. Have I said this enough? Alphabetical. Scroll down a little bit. Click on Jacob right there. Talented musician, very smart guy, and that's what this is all about. Talking to people about an extraordinary breadth of ideas and things. And like I said, don't take any of this as financial advice or health advice. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a financial consultant or whatever. We're just talking. This is just entertainment. This is just people talking to each other outside of the space of all the nonsense they try and feed us. So It's nice. It's nice to me. I hope it's nice to you. That's that. Anything else, James? Playing the music. I'll keep it low if you got anything to add, and then we'll wrap it up.
No, just I know you had an announcement to make, but thank you for having me on as always.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding me. I forgot entirely. Okay, so there is, like I said, it's been a challenging year for me. I'm not in the best of spaces myself. I'm okay, and there's nothing to worry about. But also, I'm having trouble keeping up with all the things I must do, including, of course, Troubled Minds. And it hurts my heart when I can't show up, and I've been super flaky over the past 6 or 7 or 8 months. And I know you trust me when I say that if I told you all the reasons why, you would be like, holy shit, Mike. Wow. Like, why are you here at all? Okay. So I'm going to take some time. Okay. I'm not quitting. I'll be back. I promise. What I'm going to do for the time being is we're going to do Sunday shows like always. At the same time, we'll even go late if we need to get people's ideas in here. But I'm not going to do weekday shows for a minute. I'm going to get the station set up. I'm going to try and sell to terrestrial radio here in Vegas personally. And there's a whole bunch of things happening in the vibe coding space, which is now we're able to do these things. We're able to sort of leapfrog whatever legacy technology was behind us. So I'm going to spend some time doing this, and trust me when I say that there's good things coming. So if you miss me and you miss the Troubled Mind space, follow me on social media and all the places. There will be new short videos. There will be a whole bunch of stuff coming. I'm going to try and rework some of our old amazing calls from you guys. So trust me, I'm going to be back as soon as possible to the regular schedule and maybe beyond. If we get picked up on local terrestrial, I'll go 4 or 5 nights a week. So give me the space to recognize what may or may not happen, and I'll do my best between now and then. But for now, for the time being, we're only going to do Sunday nights on Troubled Minds. And so thank you in advance for already missing me and missing us and missing the space. But I also promise you that I will do my best to get back as soon as possible. There's so much happening. Like I said, if you want to check out what's actually going on and listen with your own ears, go to kuapdb.com. That's the actual radio station, which I'm literally building, and we are literally streaming live on right now. If you check that out, thank you for that. If you have not, please do, because the other people that are on there, James and Ricky and Herschel, and you guys are welcome too. Let's get a podcast going. Let's get you on here. All you have to do is upload your RSS feed, and it auto fetches, and it will even auto normalize your audio. And trust me, there's magic happening. There's actual magic happening. Give me time to cook. When I come back, we're gonna slay it. Yeah, shout out Puff. So yes, no shows for the foreseeable future of Troubled Minds, except Sunday night. But I don't mean this to sunset anything. I mean it to come back stronger than ever, with more than ever. Okay. So just so you guys know, that's it. Check out kuapdb.com and follow us there, and follow the journey, because I'm telling you, shit's about to get real. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. That's the wrong button. How about that one? Yeah, so we'll be back on next Sunday. I'm going to shout out Herschel, has done some super cool stuff with his website too. Hey guys, get into vibe coding. If you ever dreamed it can happen, and you kind of don't know much about any of that, just ask the thing. It'll just do it for you. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. You guys are the best. So thank you. Have a fantastic week. Thanks for understanding. I have a chock full week, by the way, and we'll see you on Sunday night. If you have ideas for shows, fire them off to me. If you want to pop in and co-host or whatever, let me know. And I'm here. I'm here for you. I appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out and being cool and chill and all the rest. I just don't know what else to do. I wish there were 2 of me, but there's not. There's only one Michael Strange, and I guess thank goodness for that. Thank you, James, for reminding me, or else I would have just ended and been like, oh shit, I should have said something. That's it. click the things, do the thing.